support, but Rika doesn't think I'll be able to set it up in the actual studio part of the studio because it's too tight in here. But the flip side of that is if we could set it up in the studio, then we could use the green screen to show the VR game that's being played, which would be super badass. Because we could be like standing in front of the green screen in the VR game.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
Yeah. So I don't know. So I'm trying to dig up somebody out there that has a Vive.
The issue is just like having the room so you don't like start punching your computers.
Yeah, knocking over light poles and stuff like that.
Yeah. There's actually
that's probably the bigger issue.
Yeah.
I was listening to a podcast that was like it is a completely irrelevant podcast, but then one of the people was talking and they said that they were making a joke about one of the guests, and the guest has VR rooms that are they're a married couple that have competing VR rooms on top of each other. So like in their house, they have one room that's solely for VR for the girl, and so in another.
This was Twit, wasn't it? Because I think I saw something about this. Was this? This must have been Twit.
They probably also covered it.
I don't think it was Twit, but I think there was. I think that they said that the person who was on it was mentioning something like that. Yeah, like that person has been on like.
Oh, is it? Yeah. Oh God, what is her name? I know their names. I know these podcasters' names. I'm trying to.
I have no idea. All I remember is she's from Canada.
Yeah. Oh, it's on the tip of my brain. Oh, I almost just really had it too. That drives me crazy. Anyways, yeah, they're really into it. But they have their own dedicated VR rooms.
Yeah, they said that they had to make two different rooms because they were punching each other.
Yeah.
So according to the Steam website, it might fit in here, but from everything I've seen from videos,
Yeah, I know. But gosh, it'd be so great.
Put caster wheels on the table and like just move it out of the way.
Yeah. If we move the table a bit and then we stood more in the center, but yeah, it's gonna be I wonder if we could do it in here for demo purposes, but we probably eventually have to put it in the living room.
Yeah.
Talking about the HTC Vive chat room.
I sent
Ahoy, Chris. And
Ahoy,
everybody
Mr. Lou.
else.
Hello.
Hello, Sweet Lou.
Hello. Yeah. Well, we'll find out. I guess one way or another, we could try it. See, what we're doing is I'm slowly creating another monstrous project list for Linux Fest Northwest, and I really didn't want to do that. I didn't want to do that, but I've got two projects on my would really like to get done list already. They're both on their own, probably the only thing we should tackle.
Well, at least the Vive is a fun one.
Yeah,
So
that's true.
Once it's done,
Yeah.
people can play with it.
Yeah. I think if the timing worked out, if Linux Fest Northwest was 1 week later, Noah's entire family would just come up here for like a couple of weeks. They just bring their trailer and stay up at the junkyard with me, because the only reason why I think it might not work out is because little Noah's got to finish off kindergarten. He's got 1 week left of kindergarten. But that would be so great, because not only could our kids play around, which would be awesome, but then we would have plenty of time to work here at the studio. And if he needed to get some work done, he could just do it from his trailer.
If only we lived in a country where our education was transferable to whatever school is closest to you.
Do some countries have that?
Yeah.
That's a brilliant thing. Boy, as an RVer, I tell you what, if I'm driving around, I'd love to be able to take my kids with me and drop them off what area I stop in. It'd be great. Here, go to school there for a little while, Dylan.
Well, it's probably less of a big deal in other countries because they're so much smaller, so they don't have all the individual states with different laws.
Well, that's a whole other can of worms. Yeah. You get totally different education in Washington than you do down in Texas. It's a totally different
How
thing.
dare you, sir?
I think you mean Texas.
Texas.
Pronounced with a G.
It's the Longhorn State.
Do you have, Rod, did you just bring your audio up? Because you just got, it sounds better. It sounds good. I'm not complaining. But I don't, or did it get louder on my end?
No, I didn't change mine, no.
Well, you definitely changed it from last week.
Well, you sound good.
Last week you were super quiet.
So it might be because if I'm actually like slightly off, it ain't
Oh, yeah. That is a huge difference. Woo, what mic is that?
It's a Rock Band mic.
Oh, Rock Band.
Rock Band.
I think
360.
Rowan finally hit puberty. That's why it sounds different.
Hey, how dare you? That was 3 weeks ago.
Well, he either hit puberty or he learned some level of a mic technique.
He's putting it closer.
I learned where to put my mouth.
Although, you know what's funny is, so here we are doing Linux Action Show live at Dell, and Noah's got like this super high-end headset that he spent quite a bit of money on, and it doesn't properly stay up at your mouth. It rolls down, and it's very directional. So during the show, he's having to like grab his mic and put it back up and put it back up.
You know what else is funny? The $70 headset I had him buy.
Sounds just as good or better.
Sounds better.
I agree. Oh, I agree. Although nothing sounds better. I love these REs. I tell you what, every time I leave and I come back, I love this mic.
Yeah.
It's a good mic.
You might be convincing me to get one, Chris.
It's a good one. And you know, overall, it's not as like the PR40 was more critical about like this would really be fucking with the PR40 right now.
Yeah.
I mean, it doesn't sound great on this microphone, but it's more forgiving. So it's a good sweet spot between off-axis rejection and.
Maybe we could get them to sponsor the show.
Yeah.
I also find that the PR40 still
Yeah,
picks
this is
up,
the RE320.
a surprising amount of noise.
Yeah.
Yeah. Like it has really good off-axis rejection for people, not room noise.
Well, you know, and if anything, the problem is if that noise is in that cone of acceptance that they have, that they call it.
Well, yeah, but I have a wall behind me.
Those walls bounce. Yeah, the RE320 Derby.
Cone of acceptance. Don't we call that the cone of silence?
Yeah, we do have the cone of silence. In fact, I was going to bust out the cone of silence today.
We are entering the
Now we do have an
cone of
what happened to the
silence.
RE20? Where did the green RE20 go?
I don't remember that.
Yeah, that was the original one that I think Noah gave me. That's the one I want to put in the rig, I think. I don't know where it is. I think it's probably in one of our mobile production kits.
Yeah.
I think Noah knows where it is.
It must be in the garage somewhere because I haven't seen it in forever then.
No, I think Noah knows where it is. I think we've got like a couple of PR40s out there and that RE. So there's the RE320 and then there's the RE20.
Yeah, there's definitely at least one PR40 out there. I know that much.
Okay.
Because I confiscated the other one.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, no, there's somewhere floating around. There is a green. Used to be down here. See, what happens is in my pattern memory, I put it down there once, and that's always where I intended it to go. But then, you know, it's gotten put somewhere else, or it's now in a kit somewhere, and I have no idea where it is. But my mind, I keep looking down there, even though I know it's not there. Can't help it.
Yeah, because things have been
Moved
rearranged like 6 times since then.
I'm probably going to again here in a couple of weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, the RE320 is a good mix between price and performance. The other thing that's really nice about it has a built-in pop shield. Pop. All our other microphones require like a big old thing in front of our face, which looks horrible on video. I mean, you can still pop it a little bit, but nothing like an MXL or something like that, 990 or something that you could just blow out with your P's. So it's nice it's nice because it's forgiving for people that don't have fantastic mic technique. Although the better mic technique you have, the better it'll sound. And it's nice because you don't have to have the additional equipment of a pop shield, which not only gets in the way but adds bulk and can sometimes make noise when you hit the pop shield stand or something. Oh, enrolling in new classes. Oh boy.
I like this microphone, but it's got like the problem with it is the pops doesn't have a pop filter.
Yeah.
And you have to basically be eating this microphone before it's got good sound. So if you have a pop filter in front of it, you can't do that. So it's awkward.
On the other hand, it's like a $20 microphone.
Yeah, and it's
And
fantastic.
it sounds
for $20.
pretty good.
Yeah. And it also has it's a USB thing, so I don't have to deal with any interfacing and stuff.
I'm picturing doing so what if this was post Linux Fest Northwest and we've gotten rid of Wirecast? There's just no Mac Pro anymore. And it's just that OBS machine. What would we not have? What we'd have to set up right now is the camera switching, right?
Mm-hmm. Which I think we can handle with that thing I linked you.
Yeah. So I should probably get that then. Is it on Amazon?
I believe so.
So, I mean, that's it for this show. Like, this show, we could replicate everything else.
Yeah.
I wonder. I guess getting a good IRC client on that machine, or what we should probably do when we do it is take the second monitor. Oh yeah, we're going to want that second monitor for output. I almost wonder if we're going to want a third monitor for the OBS machine, the one that has like the chat room and that stuff.
There's a new OBS feature that's awesome.
What's that?
It's automatically scrolling text from a file, so you can take an IRC chat log and put that in, and you don't even need a monitor.
Whoa, that is
you
nice.
You don't need an application at all.
Huh.
You just like lay out the text.
I wonder how it looks.
You can style it just
I think
any
it's
way you want.
Stylable with CSS.
Yeah. Well, not CSS, no, but it's like the text style. There's a text feature in it. You just turn on the file version and turn on the IRC log, and the last 6 lines will be pulled in every few seconds or so.
That's really cool.
I think I'm thinking of another plugin then.
Oh.
That uses the CLR browser.
That could either way though. That could be. I mean, I'm up for doing it differently too than ScreenCap because ScreenCap is
awesome and doesn't work on Linux.
Really?
Yeah.
What is it? The browser? What?
There's a browser source system that doesn't work on Linux, although it is pretty cool.
Hmm.
Yeah, there's like a ton of websites that are built around that plugin that can do all kinds of crazy stuff.
Well,
it's a pretty awesome feature, but it doesn't work on Linux. And I talked to the people at OBS, and they said the only reason it doesn't work is because they don't have anybody who's the developer who could fix it.
So we guess
a Linux developer to fix it.
I guess we have to figure out how we want to get the chat room shots because that's a pretty common thing we use.
Well, the basic text, you can change the colors. You can even do gradients of the text and stuff. So like it has drop shadows and all kinds of stuff. So you can.
I think the advantage.
You can pick a font.
The advantage to it would be
good.
probably, I would think, less resources than ScreenCap. But then the disadvantage would be you could have an IRC client that could do like Nick highlighting and things like that. So.
Yeah, it's not going to do that.
Yeah. But so either way, we just got to play with it. So that's something we'd have to figure out.
Well, we could use Quazzle, which is also styled with CSS, basically.
Yeah. The other issue then is TechSnap. That's the big because I think because we'd basically be rebuilding a profile for each show, or a scene, or I don't know what the OBS
scene collection.
Because you'd have to have a LUP one and a coder one. It's a lot of work to pull off before Linux Fest. But in theory, we could probably be done with Wirecast after last, if we can solve for TechSnap.
I don't think TechSnap would be too much of an issue. In fact, I think TechSnap would be easier on OBS than it would on Wirecast.
Yeah.
Because I think the separate layers we have would work a lot better on OBS.
And green screen, you think it'd be okay?
Pretty sure. I'm sure we'll mess around with it once Noah gets here.
Ron, if you have any more level to send me, then that would be good. If you could give me any more audio, any more volume. You know what I really want to do is I want to.
If you want me to, but
Yeah, well, I don't know. I mean, I don't want it to distort, but I have it cranked right now. And I'm wondering.
Are you saying it's my audio or the mumble audio?
Well, Sweet Lou, say something.
So I
see, Sweet Lou's plenty. Okay.
From Google Chrome stable to Google Chrome
Sweet
beta today.
Sweet Lou. Wait, hold on. Okay, hold on. Let's troubleshoot.
Chrome stable.
Sweet Lou is plenty loud.
Okay, so it is me.
Yeah, you're not bad though, but you could be a little bit louder.
You were definitely quieter than everyone else last week, though.
Oh yeah, I heard that.
What I want to do is I want to get soonish. I want to get processing on the line that comes out of the mumble room to try to bring everybody up with processing too. But
to the same level, yeah.
Yeah, but that requires a considerable amount of hardware change. But it's coming. Yeah. I'm not so sure about Mastodon, to be honest with you.
Yeah, me
How
either.
about
I think it's funny how it's really doesn't sound much different, Ron.
now? Oh.
I think it's I think if you look at the people who are flocking to Mastodon, besides geeks, it's people who I don't really find tolerable.
Mastodon is cool, except for the fact that when you're doing the setup, like now, it's hard to get an account because the accounts don't the main account system doesn't exist anymore. They're like they've discontinued their own thing, so you have to find another one. So you got to basically find one that you're willing to trust, or set your own up. But if you set your own up, you got like multiple weirdness to deal with because you got Ruby and Node.js, and the fact that the logs that create on the daily basis are like massive.
Are you sure you're not thinking of Identica? Because that sounds exactly like Identica.
I mean, they kind of are the same in a way, but no, it's definitely like Like Mastodon looks really cool, and if I didn't have to manage anything, and there was someone I could trust that I would be okay with trusting, that would manage it all, that'd be fantastic. But if I had to do it myself, like, no, thanks.
Well, I think another.
Well,
Go ahead.
I've thought about doing this already. I've already looked into deploying Mastodon. Um, there is, as long as it stays under a certain size, like, and that is like 5,000 people.
Definitely what you want in a
It's
social network.
manageable.
Well, it's federated, so it's 5,000 per node. So you could like, as soon as you sign up, you're connected to everybody, but you don't have to serve everybody.
See, the problem I have with Mastodon is, from what I hear, at least from what Noah was saying, is that they're measuring the user growth in 10,000 something people per month, which is extremely slow for something called a social network.
Oh, see, the problem I have with Mastodon is I was invited the other day to come to the Twitter that doesn't have Nazis. And I thought, okay, what does that mean?
Oh.
And then I realized what they mean is there is a bunch of refugees on Mastodon who don't feel like Twitter is cracking down on free speech enough, and so they want to go to Mastodon where they can set up block lists. Oh, that's interesting. So then I heard about it on the No Agenda show, so I went to go check out their Mastodon network. The No Agenda social network, which is a Mastodon network around the No Agenda show, has basically been shunned from the greater Mastodon community. They were trying to federate with other Mastodon servers, and now they're being put on block lists because they've been classified as alt-right-wing crazies, which is not a fair classification. And that, to me...
Yeah, that's not true at all.
I know, and so to me, this whole thing, it feels already like the well's been poisoned. Like, before we've even brought everybody to drink, we already have all the whole idea of this open social network that can be federated, and now we're setting up firewalls and block lists.
Well, that's kind of the problem with not having a central authority, is that anybody can do whatever they want.
It's like
they could still connect to the federation. They just wouldn't be able to, like, the other they could arbitrarily, some federated stuff could arbitrarily not.
And then I guess there was some sort of Japanese porn controversy that everybody started freaking out about. Huh? I forget what it's called. I forget what's the name of it. It's some style of, I don't know. I know, Architect. It's really crazy. It's weird to see them yeah.
See, I can't get down with
lolly porn. That's what it was. I guess there was some sort of lolly porn controversy, which sounds hilarious. I'm not familiar with it, but
I know what the issue with it. Well, yeah, the issue is with this that it's technically not legally child pornography.
What?
But,
oh God! No wonder it's a controversy.
So that's where the controversy. It's a cartoon.
Oh jeez.
So that's where the controversy comes from. Is that it's a cartoon.
Do you ever wonder?
Still...
Okay, here I just have a premise for you guys. I don't mean to go all like paleo diet on you here, but I just have a premise for just one brief moment. You ever consider the fact for millions of years the human race has evolved to just have these local, small social groups in their area where people are interdependent on each other for survival, and that's the extent of their social network? And now our dumb monkey brains are being interconnected across the entire world, across cultural barriers, across language barriers, across all kinds of spectrums of localities are all now being hyper interconnected. And maybe our dumb caveman brains weren't wired for it. Anybody think about that?
I disagree with you, Chris.
Well, see, that's why I'm an advocate of just interfacing our brains with computers and letting the computers handle it.
Yeah, maybe I'm wrong. I mean, maybe I'm wrong, but it seems like it's just getting worse and worse and worse.
Well, I think you do have a point, but we keep getting together into bigger and bigger groups, from like villages to towns to cities to big metropolitan areas, and we get more stuff done in those big groups. All the
like Linux.
Well, yeah, and there's some growing pains whenever the size of the tribe expands.
Yeah, boy.
So Mastodon is going to have social networks are new enough that we're still experiencing the growing pains of trying to connect 7 billion people and get them into a conversation together. But
I'm actually okay with
I
shunning.
think that's good.
I think shunning is an appropriate response. You're not banning them, are you? It's not some top-down authority saying you can't post this. It's just people saying, "Oh, we don't want to associate with you," right?
It's blocking. Yeah,
Pretty
it's like
Well,
server level block list.
See,
But
the
it's only on the servers that want to block it. It's not like
Right, right.
They're
Not
not blocking
everybody.
everyone.
the problem
You can
I
have your
have
alternative structure.
the problem I have is that it's a social network. So if I want to tell somebody, you can find me here, I want to be able to be guaranteed that they can find me here if
Yeah.
they want to find me.
I think too, at a certain level, like it kind of concerns me that with this super connected state that we have the option to expose ourselves to other ideas and opinions, and then we also have the
just block
option
on the
to
server.
choose how much that emotionally affects us. You can read something that's disgusting, but you at a certain level are making a choice, whether you realize it or not, to be emotionally affected by it. I prefer that world than a world where we create these super echo chambers, where it's just super like reaffirming everything that you already believe, confirmation bias echo chamber. And that's where sometimes I feel like, well, what's the point of having this great social network, this federated social network that is open, if you're just going to use it to create these larger and larger echo chambers that are just creating larger and larger divisions and tribalism?
Yes, the whole.
But that's unavoidable because you're automatically creating echo chambers on any network you use by the people who you follow, the people who you block. Like it doesn't matter if it's Mastodon or Twitter or Facebook or Google Plus.
Right,
You're still
right.
creating that just
But to a degree,
instinctively.
like you wouldn't have like such a successful lolly porn on Twitter or something. Like there is when it's a more general, when it's like the network itself type platform that anyone can participate in, and anybody who gets shut down can just go create another account. I mean, there is a certain democracy to it in a weird sense because the one private company has this general telephone-like system, and now you can have social justice warriors and alt-right Nazis that have their own federated networks that are just
Yeah, but-
reaffirming their own beliefs.
Yeah, but the people who are going to do that anyway are not going to affect the mass majority because, like, if you just look at, like, say these people they block this one thing that arbitrarily, like, no agenda, and then you don't join that particular network and you join a different one, and then you're still federated for the rest of them, and no agenda would be included as well.
So
You wouldn't have to worry about these arbitrary SJW stuff.
So does Mastodon have a way to tell what a certain federated server blocks?
I think so, possibly, as far as like the API goes, but I don't know how to look for it.
I
just
actually-
heard people talking about it.
I actually think taking all the drama stuff out of it, it could be kind of a cool technology for a community like the Jupiter Broadcasting community because it's not so huge that it would be dysfunctional, but it's large enough that it would be actually interesting and there'd be a lot of people to engage with.
Mm-hmm.
So I
It'd be
could
pretty
actually,
awesome if you could federate specifically with people.
yeah, like you could
with other
federate,
networks.
like if the Ubuntu podcast set up one, like we could federate with them or Late Night
Yeah,
Linux,
exactly.
you could set up these associated communities. So I actually think all of that aspect of it is really cool, and it still makes me kind of want to check it out. I was on Mastodon.rocks today or something like that, just kind of reading it over. But the problem is I'm a little social networked out. I've lost the faith. I like, what I learned is I think I like smaller, more focused communities like Telegram, like purpose specific Telegram groups, or like the Unfiltered IRC or the Jupiter Broadcasting IRC during a show. Like I find like these more. Maybe it's just because like I just want to get stuff done and I want to always be creating stuff. I don't know what it is, but sometimes
We should
really
all just
large.
switch to Plurk.
Yeah, Plurk.
That and it's a more manageable level of input.
I mean, how do you just make sure they don't all eventually turn into Reddit? How does that not eventually become, after like a few years, how do they not just evolve into Reddit?
I mean, what, in the sense of like the way the community of Reddit works, or in the sense of like what's all on Reddit?
The shit show that is our subreddit. The total dumpster fire.
Well, there's in the self-management of subreddits, I have no idea. Like I don't think that would be the Mastodon wouldn't change in the way because it's zero. Someone has to manage whatever network you use. I think overall Reddit is fine if you avoid places that you don't agree with. But that's the same thing
Yeah.
about echo chamber stuff too. So like no matter what, any network you go to and any website that has a vast majority of topics and stuff, you're always going to deal with not wanting to deal with certain things that are just going to piss you off. So,
So
I
you
don't
think we should
it's
set one up?
unavoidable. Yeah, why not?
What do you think, Rika?
Other than the whole
As long as I don't have to manage it.
Yeah. The whole managing of the server and stuff and all like that.
You can, as far as I know, there is a Docker image and it works. And aside from like the basic configuring of your HTTP server, whatever you use, it's probably, I think the Docker image comes with Nginx, which you would have to configure for whatever you're doing. You would have to configure the SSL and everything. But deploying it will be easy. Managing it is going to get tricky, especially if it right now. I looked into this, and the reason I don't have an instance running just because it attracts so much attention. I'm afraid it will grow so fast that I will not have the time to learn how to manage the load properly.
Yeah.
And then you have two different databases to manage and the instance of Mastodon itself, which Mastodon, as far as I know, scales horizontally just fine, but your databases are only going to scale vertically, so there's an opportunity for the whole project to get expensive too. So yeah, I think it can get very difficult to manage.
So we need a volunteer to be our Mastodon mascot or something like that, like a Mastodon captain. Because I don't even know if I mean, I suppose if it was a cool community, I'd like to hang out in there. But I don't want to manage it either. That's the other thing.
Are you saying we need a Mastodon?
Yes, exactly. Chatham says we should just use an existing Mastodon server, but that feels like, what's the point? I mean, it feels like one of the fun things of playing with Mastodon is building your own and federating. Like if we just used,
I think it's only fun if somebody else manages it
sure.
for you.
yeah, for sure.
Support me on Patreon, and mastodon.blamepoppy.com is going to be a thing.
That's funny. That's what I was also thinking, is like if we knew of another Linux podcast that was doing one, then I would also be more inclined to do it because we could federate with them.
Bungie Podcast is doing one.
Oh, they are?
The more I think about it, the more I don't need another Twitter or Facebook.
Yeah, well, here's what I was thinking, is Twitter and Facebook and Google Plus are all shit, so maybe if we had our own social network, it would be better. So he is.
Wimpy said is.
I just sent Wimpy a telegram asking him if they're going to do one, and he hasn't read it yet, so good. All right. You just answered the telegram before you had a chance to read it.
The problem is nobody uses Facebook because Facebook is good. People use Facebook because you have the widest reach on Facebook. So Mastodon can be, be the best social network on the planet, but if it doesn't have the reach Facebook does, you're still stuck.
Oh no, it'd just be fun. It'd just be for fun. It'd be like having a modern day forum.
I feel like I'm the only one here that actually likes Twitter.
Oh, I don't mind it. It's just, something fun to play around with. But I think we need a volunteer to run it and set it up.
I like Twitter. I just don't think that. I think a lot of people don't misunderstand Twitter, like its purpose and what makes it great. They think about like having full conversations on Twitter is like, well, you're missing the point of Twitter then.
I think if Ubuntu Podcast is doing one, we should just invade theirs. On every level, it makes sense. If you want to bring someone in to talk about it, you can probably just steal one of their hosts.
Love it.
For one episode, and
that's what we'll just do. We'll take over communities one by one by just like. We'll just like chess pieces. We'll all move in on a weekend, and then like we'll habitat it till it's clearly ours, and then we'll take our new ranks and we'll all move into the next one, and we'll just keep overrunning each Mastodon server until we own them all.
So what I'm hearing is you want to become the Borg of Mastodon.
We are JB.
Yeah, let's write a bot that allows you to register on Ubuntu's.
You will engage
Mastodon, and like it all launches at the same time.
Yeah.
So they have. Like 2,000 requests all coming in.
I wonder. Hold on.
Well,
hold on a second. Mastodon.
I think we want to take them over organically, not DDoS them.
Droplet or DigitalOcean. I mean, is there already like
a guide?
Is there already like a way to just like do this in a couple of clicks? Am I being dumb? Deploy Mastodon DigitalOcean. Here we go.
Oh, one click.
There we go.
Well, a couple of clicks is the Docker thing, but then again, you still have to configure Nginx.
Yeah. But these are all the steps to do it. It actually looks pretty straightforward.
and then you will get an active community going, and then you will realize that you need a bouncer in front of your database.
Oh, come on now.
And
Now you're just stressing me out.
And then you'll realize that Mastodon will do some big change at some point, and you'll have to get a new dark image and start all over again.
Well, now I don't want to do it.
This is what I'm saying. Let's just invade the Ubuntu podcast one. Let's wait for them to do it. They're also much more likely to get, some company to throw a server at them and just, for a thing on their website. And
you think? I say what we do is the only way we could do it is we got to come up with an attack plan, a path of attack. I see. The problem is the only thing I'm really interested in Mastodon is the whole setting up your own server and federating. That's the only thing that really appeals to me. Yeah, I mean, I guess if I wanted to check it out, I could just log into their server.
I'm kind of confused because you're saying the only interesting thing is hosting your own, and then you want to get a volunteer.
Oh yeah, I don't want to do it, but I just want to know about that aspect of it. I can learn by knowing. I mean, basically,
he wants somebody else to set it up and then relay to him what they did.
Well, there's that, but
and
also
all the things that he can do with it.
Well, also, I just want to try the whole aspect of being connected to another server and communicating between them. Like that's the stuff I want to try. Mm-hmm. Well, I guess you're sitting in for Wes this week.
Oh.
We gotta start the show. I mean, we gotta just start.
Oh, yeah.
We have no choice.
Where is that guy?
We have
more traffic.
We have no choice. We just have to do it.
It's negative in the freedom dimension.
Oh. Hey, the lawnmower guy's back. That's nice.
Oh yeah, he arrived while you were out at Texas.
That just makes me so frustrated.
Like the week you left, he started mowing his lawn.
Scaling Mastodon. I'm getting more and more like carpal tunnel in my right arm from like editing and working on show docs and stuff. It's giving me more and more troubles. I was hoping to get better, but it's getting worse and worse. It's getting to the point where if I edit too much, I can't use my hand very well for the next day. And the whole damn thing hurts like a son of a gun. RSI stuff is no joke. And it's little things you don't like. You just go to touch something. Oh, you don't even expect it. Boom.
Yeah. This is why you need robot hands.
Seth Ox says, I don't know, but when I'm on Windows 10 and I'm listening to this podcast, I feel like I'm betraying myself and JB. Man, I tell you what, that Windows 10. I am impressed at how Windows it still is. It really is just Windows still. I tried it recently on that $10,000 Dell laptop and not impressed. First of all, I am shocked at how badly Windows 10 shits the bed when you have previously had Linux installed on it. So say you have existing Ubuntu partitions, like just extended 4, nothing even fancy. And maybe they're GUID instead of MBR. I don't know. But so Windows 10 will see all of the partitions. You go to click a partition. Say you just want to use like the same sizes. The sizes all work for you. You go to delete the partition. Okay. So far, so good. You create a new partition. It automatically says you want it this size, which is the maximum size available. You hit apply. Okay. Good to go. Says it's formatting. Then when you go to click next, you get an error message that says BitLocker is enabled on this disk. Go to control panel and then tells you where to go in the control panel, which obviously you can't do because you're in setup. The only thing you can do is do control F10 and bring up the emergency console. You can't go to the BitLocker control panel and turn off BitLocker for that drive with the instructions. So it's unbelievable that this company in their latest version has an error message in their installer that comes up, which is completely wrong. The drive has totally been reformatted with NTFS. It doesn't have BitLocker turned on. So, but then the error message comes up and it tells you all these steps to go to the control panel, which do not exist. And what you really have to do is you have to bring up the emergency console. You have to use their disk utility emergency thing. You have to go into the volume, then you have to select the partition, and then you have to reformat it again from the command line. And you can't reboot in between. If you see what I did is the first time I did that, I made the mistake, and then I rebooted just to make sure everything was good and clean. and went back into the installer, same exact problem. Threw me for a loop. I'm like, oh shit, that didn't fix it. I thought for sure that would have fixed it. No. What you got to do is you got to delete it again in the installer. Then you got to go to the emergency console. Then you got to run the disk utility, go in there. You got to reformat it again, close the emergency console, and then go back in the installer and finish the installation.
Well, that's probably what happens when less than 1% of your users use your drive encryption technology.
and I don't think they totally test for installing on a system after Ubuntu. But what I was surprised by was how little
I don't know, Chris. I hear that Microsoft loves Linux.
I was surprised. First of all, when you search for that error message, you get very little information. I was surprised by that. Thank you, Mr. Beard, for stepping in.
I hear Mr. West is here.
Yeah, I hear that too. I hear that rumor.
That jerk, he's kicking me off the air.
Yeah, you know him.
I would never.
Hello, Wes! I missed you. It's good to see you. So that was my Windows 10. I mean, it's on, like just that whole thing is just such garbage. Crazy garbage. Crazy garbage.
What are you doing with Windows?
Oh, well, I stole this laptop from Dell, and I wanted to try out Premiere on it to compare it against Lightworks 14. And
okay. That sounds reasonable.
And was just blown away by the amazing problems that you still have with Microsoft. And it's a fully like anniversary update or creators update or whatever they call it. Whatever stupid name they have for it. It's all fully like
Brand
the latest ISO.
new, yeah.
Latest all that. And it still does all this stupid shenanigans. It's just...
The best way to use Windows 10 is to use Windows 10 as little as possible.
Yeah.
And focus on the apps.
Yeah, and tell it you're in a business and so you don't have to use the Microsoft account and just use a local user account.
Yeah,
much
definitely.
better. So, because you know what it'll do is it'll like import a bunch of settings from your old Windows 7 installation if that's the last time you logged, or I don't know. I guess it's Windows 8. I don't know how they did it. But it imports all these like old backgrounds and stuff that are all like super low resolution. So I'm using it on this 4K screen, and at my first login, it looks like complete crap. Complete low resolution crap. And I'm like,
That's crazy.
You guys couldn't do a file size, you couldn't do an image check and see that was like a super low resolution image and just opt to put the latest high resolution Windows background on there. I mean, you had to pull in the one time I logged into a Windows 8 client machine to test something and they had some stupid OEM background on there. You had to pull that crap down on my 4K
That is
screen.
exactly what would happen to you.
Yes, it was stupid. The whole experience is just crap.
So that makes
Chris
you want
tries
to just
Windows.
install Linux just right away.
I was actually going to make a segment out of that, but
Ooh, that would be fun.
it was good.
Although it would just be a rant.
It is.
quickly.
It is so funny, like how different you have to think about problems in Windows. Like that, the whole like BitLocker. So first, what happens when I tried to install Windows 10 where I used to have Ubuntu installed. And what I wanted to do is just delete the Ubuntu partition in the Windows 10 installer, like it says to do on Stack Exchange and anywhere else you look. Format it with NTFS, and then install Windows on that.
Yeah.
And I just wanted to delete one partition, the main partition. And all that went fine, and then I click install, and Windows 10 comes up with this error message that says, this drive has BitLocker enabled. Go to your control panel, go to this area to disable it, blah, 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 which you can't do in the installer. And it obviously doesn't have BitLocker because I just formatted the drive. And then you have to go to the emergency console, use their command line utility, which is not easy and straightforward.
Or fun.
You have to like go into it, then you have to select the drive, then you have to select the volume, then you have to select the partition, and then you can format the partition. And the syntax is weird; it's inconsistent. Like some of the option flags you put after where you specify.
Were you using like disk part or?
No, it's
or something else. Okay.
It's just it's a command line version of Diskman, the MMC Diskman. Anyways, and I did all that, and then to make things all good and clean, I rebooted, go back into the installer. Sees the partition, same problem. Like, it's weird. It's weird. I think to myself. I'm like, well, maybe I'll go try it again. So I go in there, and this time, instead of rebooting, I just close the terminal and go back to the installer. Installs just fine. But here's the weird thing. This time, I get a completely different version of Windows. So instead of getting Windows Pro, I got Windows Business, and it asked me for an activation key. Now, on the previous installation attempts, it had never asked for an activation key. I'm like, that's weird.
That is weird.
So I skip it. And I install it, and now I have an unactivated version. Well, the other previous installation attempts, I got a digitally activated version of Windows. How do I have a digitally?
Happening?
And why did one time I get this business version, and the other times I got Windows Pro, and the times I got Windows Pro, it never asked for a key.
And this is with the same ISO?
Same ISO,
Yeah, okay.
same USB stick, and then so two installations, it's automatically activated, and one installation, it's a totally different version of Windows. Ask for the
Should've
product
used
key.
BitLocker.
I don't know what's going on. It's this craziest thing, and I changed nothing. It's weird. And then when you get it, So when so many things, like, first of all, Dell ships all these drivers that you can go get, these things that improve your experience.
You gotta have drivers.
And some of them are using like an MSI file, some of them are using Install Shield, some of them are using Install Wizard, and none of them are high DPI. In fact, I don't know if a single software installer on Windows is high DPI. And then you launch Premiere on Windows 10 if you have a high DPI screen, and the scaling is so piss poor with Premiere that it's like editing on a 24 by 768 screen because all of the panels are oversized.
Oh,
and
wow.
The whole UI. So what you have to then go do is turn off high DPI scaling for the entire OS. So that way, when Premiere loads, you can fit everything on the screen.
Wow.
So you basically have to forfeit high DPI. You just get crazy high, small, tiny resolution.
Right.
So that way you can use
Tiny Premiere
to edit 4K video. So after that shit show, I was like, I'm not doing this. And then I managed to crash Premiere by doing simple things like disabling audio tracks. Just like
you don't want to do that.
Yeah, it's just
Wow.
It can't be done.
It can't be done.
So there is no risk of Chris switching to Windows to edit. That is not in the cards. I'll give Premiere another shot when and if they release a Linux version.
Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
But I had to see how it stacked up against Lightworks.
Yeah, totally.
Way better than Lightworks.
Yeah, all right. You just can't, you don't have an OS you can run it on. Unless you go back to the Mac.
Fired up. I'm fired. Yeah, well, if they ever made some hardware.
Yeah, right. I don't see that happening.
If you go to the Mac, you got Final Cut, so why bother?
They're in the process of
their
desktop pros.
Yeah, what they really need to do is make a good laptop, though. Because I need something I can take in the RV.
Right.
So that Dell's got a Xeon processor in it.
Ooh.
Yeah.
That's spiffy. The mobile Xeons.
Yeah.
Cool.
I'm pretty sure they're desktop Xeon.
the thing bursts up to like 4 gigahertz.
Wow.
And it will hold that. It doesn't like throttle back, it just holds it. So it'll do a
I know
sustained
you got work to do.
It'll do a sustained 4 gigahertz
So
burst.
is that one of the precision ones then?
Uh-huh. It's
Nice.
right out there if you want. It's or Dimension, I think. I don't know. The product lines are confusing to me. But now I understand that Precision and Dimension are like the professional lines. Yeah. So that I do get now, which is a big leap for me.
You're a Dell insider.
Something like that. At least I still have a hard time.
Right.
I still have it's for me it's just too much stuff. I can't keep but now I feel better because I know not even all the Dell employees can keep straight. So I feel better.
It's a universal thing.
All right.
Oh,
Get it out
Dell.
of here.
Here we go.
Here we show.
Okay. Wimpy's telegramming me. It's like he forgot we even do the show anymore.
But then you can remind him.
What?
You can remind him, right?
It's for people who like to mess with computers.
We'll see about that. All right. Ladies and gentlemen, please bang suggest. If you don't give us a title, it's going to ruin Easter.
Yeah. We'll just throw a fit.
And what am I going to do with all these eggs? So please give us a great title.
Giant lump omelet.
Ooh. You know, sometimes, Wes, to make an omelet, you got to crack a few eggs.
That's right.
You got to crack a few eggs. Okay. All right. Good news, everybody. In the Pacific Northwest, the stargazing conditions will be good tonight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I get that
I
notification.
did see some lightning on my way up to
Really?
the studio, yeah.
Ooh.
The mountains be stormy.
Yeah. There's a lot of motion up at the rig from wind because I keep getting motion alerts from some of my various gear up there that monitors
Your
Lady
6th,
Jupes.
7th, 8th senses.
Well, yeah, she's got a sensor array.
Ooh.
You could say, of microphones and cameras and even IR sensors. As a matter of fact, it's true.
Your regular old tricorder.
I gotta do a video on it sometime. Here we go. It is the Linux Unplugged show, and it begins right now. Mumble Room, shut up, God! You guys are talking so much. It's rude.
Crazy.
God, I get back, let me get a word in edgewise. It's unbelievable.
They missed you so much.
All right, I love you guys. Hold on, we're gonna start the show now. Chat room, knock it off. Knock it off. No, keep it up. Bang suggest. Here we go.
It's negative in the freedom dimension. I think it's wasted effort.
This is Linux Unplugged, episode 193 for April 18th, 2017. Oh, welcome to Linux Unplugged, and yes, the band is back together this week. We've got a great show, and my name is Chris.
My name is Wes.
Hello, Wes. Very excited about some of the things. We have like a new segment. That's one of the
new
things.
segment.
Yes. And we also have a very interesting introspective look at Ubuntu 17.04, if I don't say so myself. If there's something in there that nobody's really covered yet. It's kind of a shame. So we're going to talk about that.
Yeah, that's right.
Wes and I have been kicking the tires. We have some interesting hardware news to discuss in a little bit. And going to go through a bunch of our favorite open source project updates.
You know it.
Maybe add a couple of new ones to the map as well.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, we'll tell you about those coming up in a little bit. It's good to be back, Wes.
It is great that you're back.
You did a fantastic job. Now I feel like I can go all the time.
Well, there you go.
I feel like I can leave all
I
the
think
time.
it's in the network's interest
How
for
did
you
it go
to
for you?
adventure.
How did it go?
It was good. It was
okay?
a lot of fun, yeah.
I heard there was a bit of a mixer situation where something was going on. You had to unmute all the channels.
Yeah, something crazy happened.
So you know what I'm going to do? I was thinking about this because I know that software mixer, that's like the worst thing about it,
Yeah,
right?
right.
It is, right?
Absolutely.
For me, I use it every day, so
Yeah.
like it's no problem.
I'm learning. I'm getting better.
Yeah,
But
yeah. No, don't worry. I have good news.
oh,
I think probably before the next time I'm gone, we'll have a big old huge Linux powered console right here. Good old
that would be awesome.
yeah, physical switches and dials and all that, so you can look at it and you'll know what's
I'll
going on.
I can
Yeah.
press buttons.
Yeah, I think it's gonna be.
Turn
I think it's gonna
knobs.
be real good. So
Wow.
that'll be nice, right?
Sweet, yeah.
Be good. It'll be a good upgrade. Yeah. So look forward to that. All right. Well, before we go any further, what we really got to do is take care of a little business. We got to bring in our virtual lug. Time appropriate greetings, Mumbaroom.
Greetings,
Hi there.
programs. Greetings.
Hello.
Have
So,
you missed them, Chris?
I did. You know, I wish I could have joined in the moment because that's always fun.
Yeah.
But turns out you never know what kind of reception you're going to
That's
get.
right.
You never know. Speaking of reception, the reception to the announcement that Canonical is discontinuing their efforts on Unity and switching to GNOME. Go figure that happens when I'm gone.
Right?
What the? Damn
Like
it, Mark.
right after you left.
Damn it, Mark. I thought we were buddies. I thought you and I were buddies. Kind of ironic. I don't know if Noah got to share this tidbit. He must have. But I got the news on my phone. I got a push notification to my phone as I'm sitting with the Project Sputnik team, who of course are basing these products around the Unity desktop. And so I had to break the news to that team.
Wow. That's kind of a bummer.
Yeah. And it was like, well, it was just a very interesting position to be in.
right.
Like, because I got to watch them go, oh, shit, well, I guess we're going to be...
See the wheels turning.
We're going to
and-
be responding to that. Yeah. So that was interesting. And so that's going to sort of flavor our discussion a little bit later coming up
Theme.
on 1704. Yeah. But I want to talk about something kind of from like a project standpoint that is inevitable. And of course, this is going to happen. There's a lot of different takes on this, a lot of different forks of like the mobile aspect. The guy behind Ubiport's keeping that going. There's also folks that are going to try to create their own version of the Unity desktop. And the one that grabbed my attention this week, and you guys may have heard about it, is the, I'm going to say Enjade
Yeah, I think so.
desktop.
Indeed.
Yeah, and so right now it's early days, but they call it a modern unified desktop environment. What it really is Plasma that's been sort of mixed up to look a lot more like Unity with a few other things. The way they describe it is a community project to recreate and continue the Unity desktop environment. From the versatile dash down to the global menu, Enjade promises to provide a familiar experience that Ubuntu users love while adding new features to keep it up with the latest trends. I don't know what that means, but I think that sounds good.
It does sound good.
The entire desktop created from Plasma. Compatibility with Wayland.
Ooh.
Distribution through Snappy and Flatpaks.
Hey.
And it's going to have a search function. Okay. You know what? I'm good on the search stuff.
Yeah.
I'm good on that. Let's put our efforts into other things because it always like the indexer always manages to go crazy. It always would. Anyways, right, people are sort of downplaying this one, but something about this one to me feels like they've got some real momentum behind it. First of all, I think the idea is kind of solid. Some of us were looking forward to a Qt Unity 8.
Yeah.
Kind of seemed like a good idea.
Mm-hmm.
And I've been a big fan of the Plasma desktop recently. Running on half my machines right now. And it's very possible to make the Plasma desktop a lot like Unity. There's just a few things missing.
Yeah, totally. And the Plasma desktop's very, extensible, configurable, so it seems like a natural platform to try to build that on.
Yeah. Well, we'll watch and see where it goes. There's a few other projects out there, including ones that are just like themes that can be applied and styles that can be applied to the Plasma
So clearly
desktop.
there's a lot of interest, or at least right now.
Yeah, and we're going to talk a little bit more about it later on the show, but I just wanted to talk about that. And then on the other end, so if you're a GTK desktop fan and you're not going anywhere, but you did like a few things from Unity, a lot of people have said to me, "Boy, the thing I really liked about Unity was the HUD." In fact, Wimpy, you remember when Wimpy used to come on this show?
Oh yeah, that Wimpy
That was
guy.
back before there was some things going on at Canonical, I suspect. I haven't heard from them in a while, but back when Wimpy used to come on the show, one of his favorite things about Unity was the HUD. They've even worked on it for the Mate desktop. So that's something that I think a lot of people that are coming from Unity and going to the GNOME desktop might miss. It's kind of a neat feature if you get used to it.
Yeah, it is.
And it's sort of unique to Unity. Well, there is a GNOME extension that sort of recreates the whole Unity HUD experience for GTK applications. So if you're familiar with like Sublime Text or Atom's command palette that you can fire up, it's a lot like that. You get essentially anything that the menus can do, you can do from the keyboard. It brings that to every application that uses GTK3. It automatically extracts all available commands, and it does that by also observing what is the running application. It will adapt the UI to like match the appropriate application, which sounds really cool. Also to relevant actions, and it requires no modifications to the applications because it's using just the features of GTK.
It looks pretty slick.
Yeah,
I might give this a try.
Yeah, it actually looks really cool. And it really, if you think about it, if HUD is one of the things you like the most about Unity, but you're trying to get on you're trying to get to where the skate's where the puck is gonna be hit by a Canadian or something. I don't know what.
Yes, that's
something
the one.
about Canadians and pucks. If you're going that direction, this might be something to try.
Absolutely.
Pretty cool, and we will have that. We'll have that linked in the show notes because it's up on GitHub. But it's how do you say it? What are you gonna say, Wes?
Plotinus?
Plotinus, yeah.
Plotinus.
So it's Plotinus, Plotinus, perhaps.
Yeah.
It looks really nice, and it's an example of ways that you can tweak GNOME. Ryan and Noah had a conversation about System 76 making modifications. If I were System 76, I'd probably be looking at extensions like this.
Yeah, definitely.
And then the market will decide if they like something like that.
Yeah.
But wow.
Now's the time we can like dissect what we like about Unity. Spread that across the other desktop environments.
In some ways, I wonder if in a few weeks, in a few months, people will be speaking more positively of Unity because now that they know that there's a light at the end of the tunnel, that this great travesty that was committed agast the Linux community will finally be coming to an end.
The part I hate, which is just the not invented here or fork or whatever, that part's done.
Yeah. So now we can talk about all the great things that Unity did right. I don't know about that, but maybe it's coming a little bit. So I'd also, if you're switching over to GNOME for the first time and you've discovered a new extension, tweet me at ChrisLAS and let me know what you're trying. I'd like to know. I want to talk a little hardware here for a second. So I was just talking about the Sputnik team. This is a blog post by Barton George, and he is announcing something that we got our hands on while we were at.
Right.
Yeah, it's their new Precision desktop. It's an all-in-one. Now, I'm talking about this for a couple of reasons because I think this is a super badass machine. And this is one of the reasons why I was recently really considering trying to switch to Lightworks. It's a 27-inch all-in-one, but it's like this Precision one has a Xeon processor. You can get it with ECC RAM. You can get it with, I think you can even get it with Ryzen graphics.
Oh, wow.
27-inch screen, but it's the Dell Precision 5720. But I got to play with it. I don't know. I don't know if it's Ryzen or not. They say the latest AMD Radeon Pro graphics. Does Mummer, you know what the hell that means? Does anybody know what the hell that means? I don't know if that means Ryzen or not, because it's the latest Pro graphics. But it's the Precision 5270. It's a pretty monstrous machine. The thing that I should be talking about is probably like the graphics and that stuff.
Right.
But I gotta impress upon you, the coolest thing about this machine was the soundbar that they've built into it.
Really?
It's essentially a soundbar.
Okay.
And it shouldn't be the speakers, but you guys got to understand how cool these speakers are. We had a little demo, and it doesn't convey very well because we're just listening with a microphone. I'll give you a hint of what it was like as I cut out a part of the demo that we didn't air because it doesn't really translate very well, but it gives you an idea.
It's this integrated soundbar here, basically. So we actually partnered with a multiple Grammy Award-winning record producer, Jack Joseph Puig, to design and tune this audio solution. So it is best-in-class audio solution in a PC. hands down. It's got these, you can see the 6 front firing speakers, there's 2 down firing speakers and 2 passive radiators, so it's 10 total speakers. It is the only system that includes both the front firing and the down firing speakers. So we're going to do an audio demo. This is a kind of a mix playlist here, so we'll kind of get to experience and hopefully you can hear the audio come through.
It makes me feel like it makes me feel like it.
Now, mind you, this is right on Noah's directional microphone here. You kind of get a sense of how loud it is, but what I did is I cut out the audio demo here because a very funny thing happened. And you got to picture the scene. We're in a large conference room. The room, you can kind of tell by the audio, it's a very large room. You could easily fit 25, 30 people in this room.
Wow, okay. Yep.
It's thick walls, thick doors, double paned glass. I mean, this is like an industrial conference room where people can have hearty conversations. And we kind of disturbed the entire office. So I cut a little bit here. Somebody walks in and like, you gotta turn it down, turn it down. And then we're like, well, no, they're doing a demo. They're filming right now. No, you've got to turn it down. You've got to turn it down.
It's so good that we got the teams over here enjoying it.
Now, what's funny is I cut in a little bit of the Dell promo for this where they show the
pretty
speakers.
slick.
And check this out. In the promotion, they make reference to disturbing the neighbors. So watch this right here. Not this part, but that is kind of cool too. So they show you the diet, how all these speakers are built, but I thought this was right here. So the neighbors can enjoy it too, which was very ironic when I went back and watched this promotional video because they had to come in because the rooms next to us, it was too loud for them. And then what she says after we were done, she says, "Yeah, and that was only like at half volume."
Wow. Okay, so you're legit impressed with this thing.
I was like, okay, all right, this would be a great machine for editing because you can get a really great processor in there, you can get a ton of RAM in there.
See, that's like one of those features where I would be initially skeptical of it.
I was too.
It'll probably be
yeah.
substandard.
Mm-hmm.
I'm gonna get other speakers anyway or use headphones, but that's awesome. Sounds like a good deal then.
What I think is interesting is so you have this. So what I now understand about Dell is that I like the dimension and precision lines. I didn't realize that, but these are like the workstation class stuff.
It's a lot better.
That's when you start getting like the Xeons and you get the high quality build materials and all this kind of stuff. So now it all clicks. Now that I've gone there and seen it. And what the reason why I think this is a big story is so not only is this obviously a vendor that has tons of enterprise relationships. And school relationships and an incredibly large brand recognition. But they have transitioned from a company that when I bought it's in the other room. When I bought the XPS 410 from Dell a decade ago, I bought that computer actually almost 11 years ago from Dell.
Wow.
It was one of the first what they call client devices they ever tried to sell shipping Linux. And the whole idea behind it was, how cheap can we sell a computer? Because if we knock $100 off for Windows, we put a 5,400 RPM drive in there. How cheap can we sell a computer? And part of making it cheap is putting Linux on it. That was Dell's approach. And to me, that was what I was always extremely skeptical. I even said in my predictions episode for at the beginning of January, it's like, I don't know if Dell's serious about Linux because that to me was like, you're screwing around here.
Yeah.
You're not
giving it the right.
You're not taking it seriously. I want a nice computer.
Yes.
So now what we have is we have them shipping the Precision 5720. We have them shipping like that crazy $10,000 laptop that we covered. That monster machine, like I think it's called the Precision 7720. Like they have these really nice systems now that they're shipping with Linux. That they're not shipping because they're cheap. They're shipping them because they're high-end workstations with Xeon processors and ECC RAM and
doing it right.
I think it's going to be big for them. He said just on their developer laptop program, they're seeing a year-over-year 100% growth. So in 2 years, they've seen a 200% growth.
Yeah,
those are big numbers.
Yeah,
could be huge.
It would be pretty nice too. Like imagine you get a new job, you get a new laptop, you can get this supported right from Dell.
Well, and maybe you could
Linux
kick Lenovo
workstation.
in the butt a bit.
Yeah,
get them off their game, or get them on their game, get them off their butt, get them off the
realize
pot.
there's a market here, or could be.
Be really good to get some competition in that area. And then, everybody wins. If the more people in the market, the more competition, I think it's better for everybody. We'll see. We'll see where it goes. You know what else there's competition for? highly skilled folks. Go to linuxacademy.com/unplugged and become one of them. linuxacademy.com/unplugged. Support the show and sign up for a free 7-day trial. This is a platform to learn more about Linux. Now, you could be somebody who's worked with Linux for a decade, and you know there's still little things you can go learn. That's what I love about the Nuggets. Even if you're a busy person already with kids or a job, I know how it feels, and sometimes it's hard to continue your education. That's why I love their course scheduler and their Nuggets. These are features I probably talk about the most in these spots because they relate to me the most. It's where I continue, even after a couple of years now, to get value from linuxacademy.com/unplugged. You go there to support the show, and you sign up for a free 7-day trial. One of the things that I realized that Linux Academy was clicking with the community is when they developed their flashcard feature. It's simple, but it's perfect for somebody like me who just needs little bits to study from, but they can get stale after a while. The Linux Academy flashcard system not only can randomize a set of cards for you to study from, but they can be forked and improved by the community. And the community is full of Jupiter Broadcasting members, so it's like top grade stuff. They have nuggets for just little bits of wisdom when you have just a little bit of time. And they have study tools and lesson audio and personal notebooks that you can take with you offline. iOS and Android apps to help you study on the go. They spin up cloud servers on demand that you can SSH into. They have learning paths, which are a series of courses and contents planned for very specific types of certs or exams. It's great. And to top it all off, like the sprinkles on top of a delicious cupcake, they have instructor mentoring. And what that means is they have real full-time human beings that can help you with the subject material.
That's huge.
Huge. Very big. Also, if you're at DockerCon this week, stop by and say hi to Justin. He's there from Linux Academy.
Nice.
He's down there taking notes for the team to see what's coming up. And I think
Can he tell us?
he's going to be at the AWS Summit as well.
Oh.
I mean, the guy's all over the place. Check it out. Check out Linux Academy on Twitter as well, linuxacademy.com, where they're telling you about all this kind of stuff. You can stay apprised if they're at an event you're going to. Check out their Twitter feed. You'll probably see about it. And you can go say hi. Go check out the booth. Maybe get a little penguin plush from time. I hear they have those from time to time.
What?
My kids love them. Go to linuxacademy.com/unplugged to support the show and find them on Twitter at linuxacademy.com and probably coming to Mastodon sometime soon. Mastodon reference. Okay. I wanted to start a new segment in the show, and it's one I wanted to take projects that have been in a darkness, a silence, perhaps a cone of silence.
Cone of silence.
I want to take these out of the cone of silence.
Shine some light.
And I want to shine some light because I think these are fascinating. And if anybody in the Mum Room has any experience with any of these, feel free to interrupt with your said experience. The first one up, Wes, is Torrent Peak, a new contender for our favorite open source projects here on the show. Torrent Peak, distributed search engines. Got me there. Using BitTorrent.
Oh, you're hooked already. Okay.
And SQLite. Okay. Now this is a real fresh product. I mean, we're talking like updated just as a matter of a couple of days ago. It's a distributed search engine using BitTorrent and SQLite. And that's kind of a cool idea. So site owners create a SQLite database and create a torrent file from this. They then proceed to seed this torrent just like they would seed any other file. Site users then start downloading the site torrent, but rather than downloading pieces of a torrent, they download pieces based on a search query they've performed. In other words, a given search query, such as Indiana Jones, Torrent Peak knows how to download pieces of a torrent where data for Indiana Jones is likely to be stored at. Results are given to users in a timely manner without having to wait for the entire database to download. And since search queries are just regular torrent piece downloads, a search query can be satisfied by many different peers in a swarm, effectively allowing for distributed search.
That sounds nice.
Yeah. It does have a couple of other pros too. You can create, hosting your own is just as simple as seeding. So if you can seed a torrent, you can do this. That's pretty great. You don't have to buy a domain name. You don't have to put it up on a server somewhere. Since you control your address, your public key, which is broadcasted via the DHT, it's much harder for governments and institutions to block the content you're sharing. And via SQL torrent, you drive your users. I don't even know what this last. It's hard to read. Anyways, but here's a couple of downsides. Read-only sites for now. Your site doesn't get a pretty name, and there's really not like any standards in place to do this. But the idea is kind of interesting.
Yeah, it definitely is.
So I mean, I thought maybe we'd add it to the watch list and see where it goes.
It seems like one of those things where you might not use it. Maybe it's not even used as a library, but it
Right.
pushes things forward.
Yeah.
We're we're building the tools slowly that we need to solve these
And
problems.
Yacy is great, but it hasn't gone very far. I keep playing around with it, and it just is sort of the same. And I just wonder if something like this might come along and move things forward.
Yeah, definitely.
There's always a conversation when Noah is in town. Like there will be when he comes in for Linux Fest Northwest. You wait, you watch for it. I'm calling it right now.
Yeah.
It's you can do anything on the command line, and it usually goes, well, actually, you could do that on the command line. And then the conversation between Noah the Beard and I for the next hour is, no way could you do that on the command line. And usually it's video editing, podcast editing, photo editing, something like that.
Sure.
Where maybe you technically could do it, but
you're just so much more efficient if you have
Well, maybe Noah can check another one off as you can do it on the command line list, because I think he's going to have another one for his list. It's audio editing of images. Audio editing.
Say what?
Of images. Yeah, check this out. This guy, I believe it's a gentleman, has come up with an incredible way to edit images as if it was audio data. He calls it Audio Shop. Audio Shop is a simple script that was cobbled together that gets you started with mangling image data as if it were audio data. The script wraps 3 individually excellent tools, FFmpeg, ImageMagick, and SOX. The way it works is by first converting an image to a raw format like YUV. This is done to prevent Audio Editor from destroying the structure, so you still have the original PNG or JPEG or whatever. If converting to a raw format, then after it does that, it imports the raw image data into the Audio Editor. And he can then apply Audio Editor techniques to the image to get the results you'd expect. So, for example, he can overdrive the signal to overdrive the image, and you get a very blown out red and green image.
Yeah, look at that.
He can apply a reverb or an echo, and you get multiple, so he has a picture here of the Eiffel Tower, and you get 4 instances of the Eiffel Tower because he applied a reverb or an echo to the image data. You never opened it up in a graphical application, all done with a script. Audio Shop. It's got a great name, too.
Yeah, definitely.
So that just came out.
I will play with this one because it seems kind of cool.
Yeah. It's up on GitHub. We'll have a link in the show notes. So that's another project we'll be keeping an eye on.
It's actually not that complicated. It's like 300 lines shell script.
Because
you can go check it out.
Because it's sitting on top of FFmpeg, ImageMagick, and SOX.
Yeah.
And so they're all doing the heavy lifting, and they're all tools we're familiar with. I mean, maybe so SOX, for those of you, because you're probably all familiar with ImageMagick and FFmpeg, but SOX stands for Sound Exchange. It's a cross-platform utility that can convert various formats of computer audio. So you can use it. I've had clients that even use it on Windows for like a call answering system once.
Oh, really?
Yeah. And then this is your language warning for a moment.
Hello, everybody.
Get it out of here.
You've got 3 seconds left before we use a swear word. The next open source project is called The Fuck, which is an app that corrects your previous console command. That's what they've called it, The Fuck. And they have a little animation here that shows it. Essentially, you type the wrong command here, and it says, that command's not found. Did you actually mean this command? And if you did, you type fuck, and then it corrects the command and then runs it for you. It's pretty cool. It's just nice if you I meant to type Python, but you typoed Python. The fuck takes care of it for you.
Yeah, definitely.
So that's a project that I think I've seen before, but it looks, this repo. Okay, yeah, I have seen this once before, but it was updated just as of 8 days ago.
Nice.
Yeah. So
I wonder how broad the support is.
It's apparently pretty active in development still.
There was an original version of it where it just added sudo in front of everything. So you screw up and forget to put sudo, and you type it, and then the next thing you just type in is that, and then it just puts sudo in front. It just converts it back into and puts in sudo in front of it before you need to do anything. But this is kind of cool because if it's like detecting what this is even better. If it does that and this, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. So now if that's too obscene for you, if that's too intense, then on the other end we have TinyCare Terminal with emoticons, with heart emoticons. A little dashboard that tries to take care of you when you're using the terminal.
Isn't that sweet?
It's wonderful. It is so wonderful. This is a little dashboard that tries to take care of you. It tells you you're cute. It tells you to take care of yourself. And it tries not to stress you out. It shows you the last tweets from @TinyCareBot, @SelfCareBot, and Magic is Real Bot. Oh my God. Speaking of echo chambers, the first two tend to tweet reminders about taking breaks, drinking water, and taking a look outside. The latter tells you strange, whimsical stories. If you don't like these bots, they're completely configurable. Your good commits from today and the last 7 days will also be shown. And when you get stressed out because you think you haven't done anything, it turns out it'll show you all of the hard work you've done recently. And also, it'll tell you about the weather, because you might get rained on. Oh my God. And then so they have a screenshot here, and they show you your commits today and for the week. They show you that maybe you should download a mindfulness app for your phone so you can meditate. There's a N curses type animated parrot that tells you to breathe.
It looks pretty good.
I mean, from a design standpoint, it's a pretty handsome looking terminal app.
See, this goes right back into just you can do anything on the terminal, and this will help you maybe feel more at home while you're there.
That is so true. Oh my gosh, this would be great. This is actually this would be fantastic to replace people's shell with this.
Yeah, right.
And just so somebody leaves their machine unlocked, this is the new thing. You change their shell to this, and then they open. What the hell is this? They're being told to breathe deep.
Yeah. So they're upset, but then they're not that upset because they meditate about it. They're like, okay, well, it's cool, man.
Well, if they get upset, you just give them the Care Bear stare.
Oh, that always helps. So there you go. There's a couple of open source projects to help make things right in the world that we're watching. And then also one that's not really a project, just kind of a neat idea. I think it's by a guy named Scott. So Scott had a great idea, and I don't know why Red Hat or somebody else like the Linux Foundation hasn't thought of this, but it's linuxlifecycle.com. And guess what it does? It tells you how long the support cycles are on major distributions in one place.
Simply, easy.
I mean, it's not an official page put together by like Linus Torvalds. I mean, it's not, it's a guy named Scott doing this, and but hopefully he keeps it up. And so he breaks it down with Red Hat and CentOS, Ubuntu, and Debian, and it tells you which releases are still supported and when the end of life is. And it's focused on enterprise, but it looks like Scott plans to set up like an API as data as JSON, so people. I mean, this could eventually be a legitimate resource for this kind of thing, and it could be expanded to cover a lot more, especially if there's a JSON where you could pull out other distros and display it on your own page. I mean,
the API you could have like monitors. For your software's gonna go out.
I mean, how does DistroWatch not have this? Yeah. How does this not?
They have individual things.
I like how.
They have a list. There's Wikipedia has a list too, so maybe he's like just collecting all the information and putting it in one place.
Yeah, it's nice. And you see how he displays it in like these easy. So he's got rel 7, rel 6, and rel 5. Green check mark, red X. Nice and clear, really straightforward, easy to understand. So if you don't often, this would be perfect for somebody like me. Like if I had mostly worked when I was in IT, I'd either be rel, CentOS, or Debian Ubuntu. I wouldn't very often sit down at a SUSE machine after I left banking. But if I did, I could easily just go to this page and say, okay, well, I'm on SUSE Enterprise 10. Oh, man, it was end of life on July 31st, 2013. I've really got to get this client to update. I mean, it's just those sort of simple things, because when you go look it up from the vendor themselves, you read all this weird vendor speak, and you have to dig through these knowledge bases. So it's nice to see that. It's linuxlifecycle.com if you want to check for yourself.
Pretty handy.
Pretty handy.
I'd be okay with some like FreeBSD or other things on there as well.
I'm sorry, what?
Just saying.
I blacked out for a second.
A broader list, right? Just maybe on a secondary page.
It makes so much sense for a BSD kernel to be on a website called Linux Lifecycle.
I mean, it's not like there's a lot of BSDs to keep track of either.
True. See, it's a small ask. Really.
We have some huge BSD news to talk about today on the show. We've got to talk about FreeNAS Coral. In fact, we're going to do that in just a second. But I wanted to ask you before we do it, do you mostly now use Ubuntu at work for the server side?
Yes.
No CentOS Red Hat?
No, there is some CentOS.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But for what you touch?
Yeah, I pretty much exclusively Ubuntu.
You know what you need to get your hands on? A new Linux Action Show t-shirt. So,
what?
Yeah. So Linux Action Show, there's 3 episodes left, and people have been like, Chris, you've got to do a going away swag. teespring.com/allgoodthings. It is my favorite version of the logo we've ever done, and I kind of wish we would have done this all the time. We wanted to have something special as like a final edition. So we tweaked our Linux Action Show logo to represent the runtime of the show. So it's like a commemorative edition of the shirt. But we gave Tux a dignified, badass beard. And I don't know why all tuxes should have a beard like this. Like,
yeah.
Like this is something the community should take and run with. But it starts here. The revolution starts here. You go to teespring.com/allgoodthings. We've got a t-shirt, a hoodie, and a long sleeve. I'm mentioning it in this show because with only 3 episodes left, it's not like this is going to be something we're going to be promoting very much.
Get it right now.
Yeah. And so anyways, check it out, teespring.com/allgoodthings, and you've already got one on the way.
Ooh.
Mm-hmm. Rumor has it, Wes. Rumor has it. So this is a big story that I think happened while I was still in Arizona, and I tried to follow it as closely as possible. I'm not putting Rip on the back. Oh my gosh, Imacon. Oh my gosh. A purple hoodie. You know they have, by the way, I think, you blame Imacon. He's just sidetracked me again. Blame him. It's totally his fault. So I think if you look at the shirt, they have some interesting sizes this year. I think they have like different sizes or something. So you might look at okay, I'm looking at the long sleeve too. Anyways, teespring.com/allgoodthings. And if you guys are Star Trek fans, you probably get the reference to do you get it?
Oh yeah.
You do? I'm proud of you, Wes. I'm proud of you. So anyways, this was a huge story that I was trying to follow because we're a FreeNAS user here at Jupiter Broadcasting. We have friends that work on the FreeNAS project. I love the folks over at IX Systems who are the sponsors of the FreeNAS project. It's the BSD thing that even gets Linux users to turn their heads and use it, right? Like everybody loves FreeNAS. Noah's all in on FreeNAS. It's sort of the number one like DIY NAS solution. And then when you combine it with some of IX's hardware, it's like it can be like a serious business solution too. So everybody had their eyes on FreeNAS 10, aka FreeNAS Coral, and Jordan Hubbard, which is one of the guys he'd been at IX for a long time. He's up in the high ranks, very very involved with the FreeNAS 10 project. And he gave us a demo when I was at Meet BSD California.
Oh, really?
Yeah, he gave us, and man, Wes, he was showing, first of all, this was like this revolutionary new UI for FreeNAS. I mean, it had gone from the FreeNAS UI we might know to this totally new, dark-themed click and drag. And he did this maneuver where he added like 35 hard drives at once to this FreeNAS server because they had this huge, crazy setup back at IX.
Naturally.
He had VPN'd into. And so he VPNs into he's up on stage at Meet BSD, and and this is at a Berkeley, one of the Berkeley campuses. So everybody's like in this auditorium, and we're all watching Jordan up on stage as he gets up there and VPNs back into IX Systems and connects to this monster demo FreeNAS rig, Coral rig. And he's talking about all of the massive changes, and he's talking about the fact that they're rolling out Docker support and this totally new UI and this engine, and they're rebasing on this version of FreeBSD and all of these fundamental changes. And it was my last show before I left for Texas, the last show, the Linux Unplugged I did. I sort of gave like a heads up. I was like, I'm hearing some bad things I'm hearing people are getting a little concerned about FreeNAS 10, and I'm hearing some bad things like plugins are getting disabled, your data's safe, but you got to reset up all your plugins in Docker. Like, people are not super thrilled, just FYI. It was kind of like the general vibe of the coverage right before I left for Texas. And then while I was gone, huge news. Huge news from the FreeNAS project. And it's the kind of news that sort of sticks to a project for a while. And I think maybe it explains why when last time I was on the show, we talked about Jordan leaving IX to go into the into a bio field. Well, I think now we know why he left. And so we're going to talk about all of that. First, I want to say thanks to Ting. Go to linux.ting.com to support the show and save $25 off your device. Or if you have a CDMA or GSM device.
Whoa!
Yeah, because, everybody's got one these days.
Heck yes.
Just check their BYOD page. It's probably compatible. Then you get $25 in service credit. And you know what, Wes? Average monthly Ting bill, $23.
What?
Mm-hmm. It's pretty cool because they've got. So this is the genius of it. So it turns out, guys, it's 2017, and the cellular infrastructure in the United States is pretty much in place. Everybody's heard of cell phones at this point. We've all kind of got it figured out. So Ting wanted to do something that was really different. Now, I've been a Ting customer now for like 2.5, 3 years. I don't know. I mean, it's been a long time. And I love it because they are an MVNO. They are able to ride on top of other carrier networks that they create agreements with, and they can create these agreements sort of as business needs drive it. So they have sort of an incredible flexibility here. But the big thing is they're not out there digging holes in the ground and putting up big towers. I've actually had clients that were responsible for designing and zoning cell towers. It's an entire industry on its own. It's the kind of industry that only multi-billion-dollar corporations can even think of getting into. And so Ting said, well, let's just short circuit all of that. So they took the MVNO approach, and by creating agreements with multiple cellular providers, CDMA and GSM networks, they can invest in things like an in-house call center of human beings that work there in the office with them. Their support staff actually works in the building. That's where they can spend money on their website and on their app and on customer service and on creating incredibly competitive pricing plans. It's pay for what you use wireless. It's $6 a month and then just your usage on top of that. They got a great dashboard. You can turn services on and off as you need it. You want to turn off a line, there's no early termination fee. There's no contract. You don't want data. You need data. You only want calls. You only want text. You can do it all with Ting. And they got a savings calculator you can try out. And when you go there, linux.ting.com, also check out their blog. If you've switched to Ting since you've heard some of our ads and you have a story to share, you could win a $100 Ting credit. Just start by going to linux.ting.com, and a big thank you to Ting for sponsoring this here Unplugged program. So Moby, let's finish the FreeNAS thing because we started that. Then we'll get to Moby. Moby is happening right now. There's a DockerCon going on, and it's all happening. But while I was gone, FreeNAS Coral was canned. Development was halted. It was considered relegated to technology preview status. They're going to revert back to the FreeNAS 9 code base. My rough understanding, and I'm gonna tell you that I don't know much, and you could get a much better, much clearer explanation tomorrow on BSD Now, because I think they're going to have Chris Moore on.
Oh yes, they are.
To talk about all of this. So, and Alan happens to know Chris, so that should work out pretty well. They should be able to cover this. I would expect BSD Now to have probably the best coverage out there tomorrow. But what I seem to understand at this point is that there was essentially two teams on FreeNAS, working FreeNAS. There's the FreeNAS 9 team, kind of keeping that going and supported. And then there was Jordan's team, which was sort of creating the new revolutionary product, the FreeNAS Coral. And what happened is their internal metrics were showing that they were having a massive abandon rate of FreeNAS Coral, like something like a huge percentage. I think it's maybe somewhere in the 50% range or greater. We're reverting back to FreeNAS 9, and so they were just seeing. I think that metric. This is from what I've read.
Yeah.
I think that metric freaked them out the most, and they probably said, "Jordan, you should probably go find something else to do. We're going to not do this anymore." And the team that they had kept around working on FreeNAS 9 in the meantime was shoring up the existing base, was developing a new UI, and actually has a lot of super great plans in place already for FreeNAS 9. Chris Moore was pretty clear about some of the features they're working on in a forum post, and he was already showing screenshots of the new UI. They're working, I think, maybe on getting some of the FreeNAS Coral plugins to work as well.
Okay.
Yeah. So I mean, they're definitely doing a pretty tight about face and have a pretty good plan B, but there is some egg on the face here because FreeNAS has sort of achieved this rock solid appliance status, and when you take a big leap like this and it doesn't land right, it can stick to the reputation of the project a bit. Now I gotta really think that any serious enterprise installation wasn't jumping to the next version of FreeNAS yet, so the effect rate is probably
right. Hopefully it's just
exaggerated,
people at home who are curious about it.
I think probably because the type of user base that was updating is the type of user base that goes to Reddit forums and IRCs.
Yes,
It's probably more of an exaggerated issue, but they have their own internal metrics that showed that there was a high abandonment rate.
Yeah,
that's my understanding at least. And it sounds like they have a pretty good plan going forward. But that is a rough thing to do.
Times.
Yeah, and
not the kind of thing you want to see for your storage appliance.
Yeah. Yeah, 50%. It was 50%, says the chat room. Yeah, that's a huge reversion rate. So Chris will be on BSD Now tomorrow to talk more about it. So I'll be watching that because that affects us. So let's talk about. We have a little right now while we're recording this show. There's a little bit of breaking news.
What is CNN breaking news?
The DockerCon in Austin, Texas, is going on right now, and the Docker company. announced Moby. And I wasn't really going to talk about it on the show, but after going back and forth a lot in chat, you and I actually kind of whittled down what the hell this is and why it actually matters and why it could be a good thing. So we're going to talk about it now. But I want to start just reading it to you, and I want to see. Okay, somebody. Let's see. We got to pick. I say let's. William, are you up for a game? Is he there? William, are you there? How about? Okay, let's pick on Rotten. Michael, are you up for a game? Somebody. Nobody.
It depends on the kind of game.
Well, I'm going to read to you the description of the Moby project, and I want you to guess what it is that it does.
Fun.
Okay. So the Moby project is a new open source project to advance the software containerization movement and help the ecosystem take containers mainstream.
Okay.
No, yeah,
I would guess from that.
Yeah, I wouldn't have a guess, but that's their description. All right, I'll read a little more. It provides a library of components, a framework for assembling them into custom container-based systems, and a place for all container enthusiasts to experiment and exchange ideas.
Is it a store or something?
I know, or a forum. It could be like almost like a discussion forum, right? All right, well, I got a little more for you. I mean, we just got to go through this corporate ease. Maybe we can figure it out if we just read a little more. It turns out that Docker has been innovating in open source. As a company, Docker uses open source as their innovation lab, they say. And last year, our customers started to ask for Docker on many platforms beyond Linux, Mac, Windows, and desktop, and Windows servers and cloud platforms like AWS, Azure, and Googs. We created a dozen Docker editions specialized for these platforms in order to be able to build and ship these specialized editions in a relatively short time with small teams in a scalable way without having to reinvent components, but also assemble components and borrow an idea from the car industry where assemblies of components and reuse to build completely different cars. Okay.
Oh, see, I know exactly what this is now.
So we've read quite a bit. In fact, we've read through the entire description of what this is now. That is the extent of what it is. Then they later reiterate that it's a library, a framework, and a reference assembly. I can't. Can you? I mean, it took Wes and I 5 minutes in chat to parse what the hell any of this means. And I bring this up just simply because I find this astonishing that, first of all, a company. Well, actually, I think it plays a larger role here. I think I figured out what my problem with Docker is. My problem with Docker is they're basically taking advantage of a feature that comes built into the operating system. And so because that's such a commoditized product, they have to commoditize the ecosystem. You have to monetize the ecosystem. And so Docker has to come up with a way to be relevant when you can mix and match your environment. In fact, in here in this blog post, they talk about containers have been massively adopted, but in a lot of cases, customers are building their own unique, individualized component stacks for their particular industry, like manufacturing or healthcare or web hosting. And that translates to Docker not being in the game. The problem is that people, because you can just use built-in components in the operating system, you don't really have to use Docker if you just need something specific, if you don't need to share with the wider Docker ecosystem, right?
Yeah.
So they had to come up with a way to solve this problem because
how do we get in there?
The issue is they're selling water to a community that has a town well, and so they have to either sell the cups or the buckets.
Yeah.
And so they've come up with a way to sell more buckets, in a sense, right? I mean, so what is Moby, Wes? Help me understand.
Moby is like a toolkit for making something like Docker. So it's frameworks, libraries, tools to help you take various pieces of what you might need for like a full containerized application, maybe even distributed, right? So like schedulers, loggers, storage appliances or abstractions, networking configurations, all of those things, right? You can get with different pieces. Sure, right now it uses all the default Docker things, right? So containerd is their default runtime, but in theory, they're trying to make it so you can then easily and with tools to help distribute them, package them, slot these pieces in and out.
So you could use Rocket or LXD maybe instead of Docker as the runtime, but you could still use the Docker.
Yeah, or maybe even something as minimal as like run C or other things, yeah. I don't know. I've not played with it. They do have a GitHub page up. It actually looks like Docker is moving all of their open source things under the Moby project now.
So here's what I found interesting about the story, is essentially what happened at Docker is they had to come up with a way to create Docker for Windows and for the Mac and all these other web cloud platforms. And I have wondered, like, how the hell are they building all these additions and not being crushed by the weight of maintaining all these different versions of Docker? Because the whole idea seems like it's just insane from a maintenance
Especially if
standpoint.
it's like the same, it started as this very like Linux specific thing.
Yes. So what they did is they took the tool that they created to do all that work, and they're now releasing it open source and calling it Moby.
Yeah.
And that's what this really is this is what let them build this mix and match pieces. So on Windows, you can use the Docker runtime, but use the Windows event log for logs and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So anyways, Moby project, big news, everybody. And it probably actually will be a good way for Docker to stay in the game even when you're not using a Docker stack.
Well, I think the thing they're missing is they haven't really convinced me yet because they have to tell me about their synergy.
Right? Yeah, definitely. You should read there and count how many. Wes and I were joking in chat that like they had like a quota of how many times they had to say open source. They were just throwing open source in there
Everywhere.
randomly. Yeah, it's super thick. It's almost like they don't want you to understand what it is they're doing because there's easier, clearer ways to describe that.
Yeah.
I think the way we just described it is more clear. And they didn't choose that. And then you have to wonder what's the intent behind that. Why are you choosing to write so thick? That's how best I can describe it. Like, you take a look at the Solus project. Nice, concise, clear communication, both in social and on their official blog posts. And part of that is because, Josh is a great communicator.
That's
but
right.
Our friends over at Solus have a new release that I think we'll talk more about next week after I've had a chance to run it. But what's interesting about this release is it's the first official GNOME edition of Solus. And also, if you recall our conversation with Ike a couple of weeks ago where he talked about Clear Boot and doing bulletproof boot
Yes,
management.
I'm very interested in that.
This is the first version that ships with
Okay.
that. Yeah, so the Clear Boot Manager is in there now, which means down the road it'll be easy to run different types of kernels. It'll be easy to roll back if there's a kernel upgrade gone wrong. I thought was interesting is they've done a few tweaks to the GNOME stack. So it's GNOME 3.2.4, and they've made a few patches to like where is it? Oh, here it is. They made a few patches to resolve items not appearing in the GNOME menu. They've tweaked a few options in Nautilus, a few things for SDL games. Pretty minimal stuff though for their. So it's a pretty and they've even turned on a couple of extensions, like a dash to dock and a couple other things. So, but otherwise, a pretty straightforward GNOME implementation. And now they also have the Mate edition as well.
Yeah.
3 flavors now of Solus. Started out
Those
with
are
just.
all tasty. So if I want to, play with the Clear Boot Manager, which flavor should I pick?
I want to ask Ike if Solus GNOME edition is a hedge against his whole switching budgie to Qt blowing up.
Ooh, yeah, that's a good question.
Is he like, or is there? Which is a fine motivation. Is that why are you including it because you want to give the people who are going to cry wolf over the changes? You want to give them a place to go? GNOME is just everywhere now.
Yeah, it is
It's just
everywhere.
everywhere. If it's on
Like overnight.
like
Damn.
2017 is the year of GNOME. It's what the entire internet is talking about right now. I feel bad for my Plasma Desktop friends
Yeah.
because I'm over here running Plasma Desktop and I feel like I'm a loner now.
We just need to talk about the Church of Neon.
There we go. Yes.
Are you feeling this at all?
Heavily, yeah.
I am.
I've actually been on been in conversations with many people who were all the time. They were like, they would say something about GNOME being like it's so great they're switching to GNOME. Like not really, because it means that they're kind of abandoning all of what they were doing, because they even said that they're going to ship basically what GNOME wants. So GNOME is not typically known for being receiving and receptive at all to anyone's opinion at all, from any topic, from any place in the world. So I'd be shocked if Canonical had anything changed in GNOME ever. So I think that it's going to be basically just GNOME with Ubuntu slapped on top of it as like a branding, and that's it. Which I consider that incredibly sad.
I want to talk about that too. Let's go right into the 1704 review right now, because I've been running Ubuntu GNOME 1704, and while it's fine, it's very sad in a sense, because Rotten, it feels like there's no character to it. Like there's no distinctiveness. There's nothing unique about it.
It's just GNOME. That's it. It's GNOME with Ubuntu branding,
which was
not even really,
which was great when I needed a refuge from Unity, which felt very Ubuntu heavy. But when there's nothing that represents Ubuntu anymore, and it's just, they've got to do something, and it's got to be more than a wallpaper.
I think that they're probably not going to do much at all. I mean, I don't even think they're going to try to take over extensions and at all. Like even try to, make a global menu or anything. I think they're just going to accept, just wash their hands of the situation of the customizations and just ship GNOME, which I think would actually be a kind of a travesty because
that would be interesting.
all the cool innovations that they have done will be just thrown away.
Yeah, I completely agree, and it was weird because I didn't expect it when I loaded Ubuntu GNOME. I was like, okay, here we go. I'm gonna go to the future. I'm gonna see what it's like in a future Ubuntu. Oh my God, it's so sad. It's so like Anagros.
You could say that 1710 will be different. They might do more customizations because they weren't really technically backing them yet, but I still don't think so.
Yeah, Antigros has way more character and unique, and Fedora even has just way more character and feel to it, and so does.
I mean, why do you pick Ubuntu? Is it, once it's GNOME, is it just for their package repository? That doesn't. It doesn't. It seems like
compatibility, software compatibility,
right? But then how does the GNOME desktop? How does it market itself there? How does it fit in with that? When
now
other,
GNOME could be
It's the same thing as what it was 10 years, 7 years ago when it was just 2010, 1004 or whatever, where it's basically GNOME but with like.
Well, okay, so I don't want to go too far down this path because I think this could be a separate discussion, but I disagree now because GNOME with GTK since 3.20 and with Flatpaks and the Software Center and all of this work they've been doing with Builder, it's more now of an application target, like come write a GTK application for the GNOME platform. It's much more of that now than it was back when Canonical was originally shipping a GNOME desktop. I just wanted, before we move on, because Ike just joined us, and so I want to talk about the Solus GNOME edition too while we're talking about GNOME. But Popey, remember when Popey used to come on the show?
Oh,
that was great.
gosh.
I love that. I miss those guys. I miss those guys.
We do, yeah. They're great.
I would like to go. I'd love to go visit Popey.
Yeah,
I would love
that. Would be a lot of fun.
Love that. But he did a really great blog post about how he configured GNOME on his 1604 desktop. So
nice.
If you want to stick with the LTS to look more familiar. Yeah.
Just want to speaking of the Plasma thing, I made a video explaining how you could make Plasma look like Unity and function like Unity with the global menus, merging title bars, all that good stuff, like the system menu and all kinds of stuff. And I think that if it was even remotely possible for the Canonical to even consider it, that Plasma would be a fantastic foundation for Unity. And I don't mean like they should switch to Plasma. I think they should switch to Plasma for a foundation to continue the focus of Unity.
Yeah, but I always thought that should have been the case when they were going to use Qt to begin with. Maybe Ike can tell us why he's not doing that. But before we get there, I also just wanted to say, in the land of 1704 releases and all of the associated Ubuntu editions, our friend Wimpy has really blown the doors off with Mate 1704. And I'd say that even if he didn't come on this show, I said it on last, and it's true. This goes back to the era where there was a time where the .10 releases were so damn good that you were willing to throw out the LTS and upgrade.
Right. I remember that.
That's what this is. This, he's had work with Ike's gone into this. Work from Daniel from Elementary OS has gone into this, but a lot of folks have put a lot of hard work in this, and I think it's just a killer. I don't know where there it goes. I think it's just a killer release. And in fact, there's even a credit for producer Michael in here.
Nice.
What did you do, producer Michael?
I helped with the graphic stuff for icons and high DPI support, stuff like that.
Yeah, and we got the brisk menu in this one that Ike helped with. It's got a really nice theme, but the other thing that I thought was just a standout feature that just makes deploying Mate desktops really nice is the Software Boutique now by default does queued installations, so you can queue up a bunch of stuff and
like
deploy
that.
it. You combine that with the fact that you've got a genuine GTK3 desktop using the traditional desktop paradigm. There's more options now for like pre-configured desktops that are really great.
Like those.
And the theme is I can't even believe they can make Mate look this good. So it's 1704. I think out of all of the Mate edition of 1704, I think out of all of them
it's
is
just an easy win. You
yeah,
know?
It's a real
if
nice
you want
one.
if you want Ubuntu, if you're installing it for anyone,
Yeah.
I wish work for so many people.
I wish I could have all of these things on the LTS because I have a couple of computers in the studio that I want to reinstall, and I would love to put. So I have this machine over here that runs my mixer that soon will not be running my mixer anymore. and I'd like to put Linux, and I'd like to put Ubuntu Mate, but I want it to look like this.
Yes.
But I want an
But
LTS.
but you don't want the 10.
Damn it, Wimpy.
Also, people should definitely, if they install it 7.4, they should make sure that they check the box for the Ubuntu Mate welcome update, because it activates a PPA that you can continuously get things, which is really important when applications are removed from the software boutique because of they're not building for 1704, and then as soon as they start building for it, it gets added back.
That's nice.
Oh, yeah, that's
so
really nice.
and you just get the latest. If you get the latest version, you get that.
Yeah, it'll automatically if you check the box, it'll automatically update Ubuntu Mate Welcome, which also updates Software Boutique. So every time they make a change, you get it.
I also want to shout out. So for those of you who, like me, are trying out Ubuntu GNOME again for kind of like the first time, trying it out again for the first time, it's yeah. You may run into a few problems if you just have straight up Chrome or now Firefox. So I have a link in the show notes on getting extensions installed. But cooler than that, you can also sync GNOME extensions between your desktops using Google Chrome. Between your GNOME desktops.
Really?
Yeah.
Tell me more.
Yes, isn't that interesting? Yes, you have to have Google Chrome or Chromium, and you have to install the GNOME Shell extension on your desktop using, there's a little sync feature in there. Once enabled, you can sync your GNOME extensions from, say, your desktop to other machines pretty much automatically. Now, you have to go in and turn the sync feature on each computer.
Right.
But once you do that...
Hey.
Yeah. And you don't have to have straight up binary from Google Chrome. You can just get Chromium from the repo if you want. Isn't that neat?
Yeah, that is awesome.
You have to have the corresponding GNOME Shell extension, Google Chrome Shell. You got to get that.
Actually, I also made an extension for basically every browser, which it gives you access to download the zip files for each extension, so you can just store them if you want.
Oh, good idea.
Yeah, that's nice.
So and you need the tweak tool, the GNOME tweak tool, but you just get the zip file and then just install it from there, and there you go.
All right, so let's mention DigitalOcean, then let's talk to Ike, because I would like to talk about the GNOME edition, and also if Ike feels like he's more on an isolated island with Qt now than ever, now that Canonical has gotten cold feet and running away from their dreams. DigitalOcean.com. Go fulfill your dreams with a server in the cloud on their awesome infrastructure. Yeah, I mean, you could go rack it if you want, if you're insane, but DigitalOcean is a simple cloud hosting provider dedicated to offering an easy and intuitive way for you to get going. Sign up, create an account, and use our promo code DO Unplugged, one word, and you get a $10 credit. You can use that to spin up a $5 rig. Run it for 2 months, try it out, put a project on there, a blog. Maybe you want to try Mastodon. I've seen a couple of guides now. I was looking on the pre-show for setting them up on DigitalOcean. Hey. Or what about Mumble?
Yeah.
Mumble's another good one. If you want to try out an Elias sync engine, run that on a DigitalOcean.
I should probably try that again.
Yeah. Well, they got a new version out which uses less syncing.
Oh, less.
Mm-hmm. But you can still run a component on your own server if you'd like. I mean, it's seriously easy because. So we were talking about Docker earlier. One of the things that's really nice about DigitalOcean is you can deploy an entire application stack with everything installed for some apps, or you just do the base installation, or the sweet spot is Ubuntu LTS, Docker preloaded, with the repos from Docker, with the right GPG keys in there, with everything up to date, good to go.
Easy.
Yeah, that's crazy powerful. That's just, you can get trying something in no time. When you use our promo code DO Unplugged, you can try it out for free. They got data centers all over the world. And they have the best interface in the business with an API to die for. An API to die for. I'm trying to make it rhyme, but I need something. An API to cry. Cry for the API. I cry for that API. I'm trying hard, Wes.
You really are.
Crying for that API over at DigitalOcean.com. Use the promo code DO Unplug. Go spin up a Linux rig on their infrastructure. They use KVM for the virtualizer, Linux for the host, 40 gigabit E connections into that hypervisor. I know it. And a beautiful control panel to top it all off at DigitalOcean.com. Also, check out their block storage. It's all SSD based. Yeah. It's crazy. DigitalOcean.com. Use the promo code DO Unplugged. Ike, you're supposed to be in bed. You weren't going to come on the show today because you are supposed to be asleep right now. That was the last I heard of it. You're a maniac.
Well, you said things about Solus.
it's sort of
the
like
bells went off.
That's amazing. That's I don't know. That's almost spooky in a sense. So, Ike, first of all, congratulations on the new release. Seems like a big deal. Got Clear Boot out the door. Very excited about that.
Yep.
Well, let's talk about the GNOME edition because that's the big news, I think. And I say, sir, you're hedging.
You say I'm hedging. Okay.
Well, I don't know about that, but it seems like it could be a possibility.
No, I mean, we've had GNOME in the repos for ages. So, like, we've had GNOME Shell GDM, you know, it's been up on the wiki and now the Help Center. And basically, it kind of felt a bit stupid not having an ISO for it, because we have the infrastructure, tooling, and all that just to put one out. And especially with Budgie going towards Q in the future, having that GNOME stack there and then not using it and then not making an ISO out of it kind of feels a bit stupid. And there are going to be people who are diehard GNOME. They want to stay on their stack. So it's like, okay, well, here's an option, and here's GNOME how we think it should be within Solus. You know, like, kind of fitting with our sanity. So that's what it mostly comes down to. So Josh is responsible for that ISO, and he uses GNOME Shell daily.
Well, thank you, Josh, because I think it's going to be the one I'll be loading on my machines for a bit, too.
It's fairly sexy.
Tell me about the EGL device for EGL streams and Mutter. What the hell is this, and why does it matter?
Yeah, I mean, that's certainly not the sexiest news on the segment, but that's what Veronix picked up on.
No, I'm sitting here, I'm reading it right off the blog post here.
Yeah, it's basically preliminary support for the NVIDIA proprietary drivers on the Mutter, so...
Cool. Nice. Oh, no wonder why Veronix is covering it.
Yeah, that does make sense.
I like that, though. I'm excited about that. So I'm glad I asked. And then, of course, I have to ask, how is things going with Budgie, and do you kind of feel like you're off on a cute island now?
No, not at all. I've got Budgie 10.3.1 out now. We've actually fixed Alt-Tab. It's actually fixed.
Congrats.
Yeah, so basically I kind of knew the way the release schedule was looking this weekend, and I was like, okay, let's be sensible here. I'm not going to get it done because I haven't got it done so far. So I put a bounty up, and I basically said on Thursday, I think it was, if anyone can get it done before Sunday evening, or was it Saturday evening? I think, yeah, it was Saturday evening, I'll pay you €500.
Wow.
And then there was, I mean, I wanted it done, and it was a way for the community
Love
to get
it.
involved.
That's great. I think it's awesome.
And then there was 3 pull requests in, and I basically said the first one that was, first valid pull request came in would be merged.
Yeah.
So we had 2 active by the end of it, and basically they were both making fixes in parallel. It's like, well, it's kind of hard to say who really came first now. I was like, okay, well, there were bugs in each, and this particular one, which is by a member of the community called Tim, kind of ticks the boxes, and it's something I can extend and fix afterwards, which it did. So Budgie 11 has been blocked by the lack of Budgie 10.3, because the idea was we fix these last little regressions and these annoying minor bugs like Alt-Tab, right? It was like the meme of Budgie. So if we could fix those, get those out of the way, then it is almost like 10.3 became a bit more like... well, I guess our Unity 7, really.
Already.
I know, too soon. So that becomes like our kind of LTS thing, and it buys me time to get Budgie 11 done, and done how I want to do it. So, yeah, it's going to be cool. It's going to be cool.
All right, so now I got to go get this installed on a machine. Let's play armchair futurist, and let's speculate for a moment. What if you wake up one day, you look at some statistic, some metric that you look at, and you say, holy crap, the GNOME edition has become our #1 download. People are downloading the GNOME edition above and beyond everything else. Does anything change? Is there a change in plans at all?
I mean, not really, because it's kind of hard to gauge that with an existing user base as well. I mean, I can tell you now basically how they're doing. Let's look at Linux Tracker and the torrents.
Because I mean, Ike, think about it. I mean, we are coming in this weird time in
the
Linux
resurgence
land.
of GNOME.
Yeah. It's huge, and it's across. I mean, even Solus now you can get a GNOME edition, and so it's really becoming. It could become this really close to universal desktop.
Almost. I mean, the other benefit that also brings in as well is Flatpak.
Yeah, exactly.
When you think about it, because it's like they go hand in hand. So now we know across every distribution there's going to be GNOME, there's going to be Flatpak.
Right.
Well, that depends on your definition of benefit.
Well, yeah, I mean, just loosely skating around that one. But looking at the download numbers now, just for the torrents, because I know earlier on, between 2 of the mirrors, there have been 800 and 700 downloads until earlier on. We released, I think, like 5 o'clock this morning or something stupid. So the Mate ISO has had just 241 downloads. The GNOME one has had 347 downloads, so it's more popular than the Mate one now. And the Budgie one has had 499.
The GNOME one's repping pretty
Doing
well.
well,
Of course,
yeah.
people are curious, right? They're taking a look.
Oh,
so
it's
that
now
makes sense.
500.
Real-time
Numbers
updates.
with the ISO.
Well, and of course, I probably I don't know how I'll pull it down. I probably get
I'm
a torrent.
debating one, like which one I want right now.
I think I got to do the GNOME one.
Yeah.
I think I just because
They
it just
are a little bit bigger this time. Like last time there was 900 megs or so, and like it's been 4 months since we've done a release, so it's been a bit of a while. You're getting a bit rusty at doing this kind of stuff. So I started looking through some of the older YouTube reviews, and even listening to some of the old Linux Unplugged things, and it's like you start to collect some of the problems. And one of the ones that kept coming up is like, why is there not an Office suite? It's like so now they all have an Office suite in them, which is basically LibreOffice. It's standard, but it's a bit chunky. So we put that in, taken out VLC, and put in GNOME MPV.
Good choice.
But the Mate one still has VLC because GNOME MPV just looks weird there.
Sure.
Like you have to go for traditional. Yeah, so now it's just under 1.2 gigs, so we got a little bit fatter.
I think the choice to switch to GNOME MPV was a good one. When I saw that in the release notes, I thought
It's
I think
pretty.
And enabling Dash to dock by default, I think, is a good choice too, especially for people that are coming from Unity.
Yeah.
The one I'm most fond of, in terms of the extension, there is the Tray Icons Plus that he's put in there.
What was that do?
Instead of normally you get the tray icons come out on a little legacy tray in the
Oh,
bottom
yeah,
left of the
yeah,
screen and just
yeah.
pokes out like a little freakish antenna.
I never liked
And
it.
now they're all up in the tray.
So it's like it's the Top
they
Icons
should be.
extension, kind of.
Yeah, I think it's like Top Icons Plus or something.
Yeah,
I
Top
don't know,
Icons by
loads
Legacy
of them.
Tray. I see. That little tab just never quite. I just literally accidentally activated
What
it
is this?
while we're talking. I accidentally just triggered it. It's always go away, and it shows up on screen all the time.
Yes, it does.
So we also have Brisk Menu now in the Mate edition.
0.3.5, I think we're on now. Basically the same version as Ubuntu Mate. Like we're going parallel on there.
That's great.
And they've got a lot of theming in, which I'm jealous of. Martin got the theming sorted out, so it's even better integrated into Ubuntu Mate's theming now. So it looks really nice over there.
Which also brings in with Mate 1.18 also brings in lib input, which is nice.
Yeah, there was a bit of a bug in the last release we did back in January where unfortunately the lib input driver got dragged in on one of the updates, which isn't fatal, but it stopped some of the configurations from being configurable.
I see.
But then as soon as we put Mate 1.18 through, it's just like, well, now it has lib input support, so that fixed that out. So, which means they're all using lib input now across all of the ISOs.
I couldn't help but notice too. There's several things in here that seem to be overall improvements to NVMe drives, but and also sort of a secondary effect is a couple of things in here ended up making like MacBook support a little better, including like better backlight support. It looks like and support for the 2016 SSD.
Yeah, I was looking at the 2013, 2014, and 2016 ranges of MacBooks and enabling support for them. So we've got initial support for the new MacBook Pro from 2016. There's going to be some device drivers still missing, basically, until we backport more from the 411. But we do have initial support for their NVMe drives, which was the one that was up in the news last year. You couldn't use Linux on it at all.
Yeah.
So backported that, while it can. We've got the NVMe power saving patches backported from 4.11 as well. So they'll save like 2 to 4 watts or something overall. So it's a slightly lower power consumption. We've also changed basically the way that we do the CPU governor now. It used to be back a while back. We would about a year back we were always using the performance governor. Then we changed it to on demand or power save, depending on whether you was using Intel P-State or CPU creep. Now we boot up all the time in performance, and once we got to the multi-user target, using the dreaded System D, which everybody hates, but it was really useful here, so I like it for this.
Yeah.
Will then change. If you're using Intel P-State, then you'll go down into power save. If anything else, then you'll go down into
so you end up with maximum performance for boot up, and then once the system's loaded,
exactly. So you boot up as quick as you can, and then save the battery afterwards. It's disabled under virtualization, so it'll just stay in performance mode, which is kind of logical because then it's controlled by the system outside the hypervisor anyway.
That is really nice. Good. That's a good way to do it. So you're telling me that if I blow up the Arch install on my 2013 MacBook,
when you get GNOME 3.24, yeah.
You're telling me you're telling me it's possible to put that Solus might work pretty good on that 2013 hardware?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to get some feedback, and if it's not, then we can just start doing more rapid snapshots.
That might be
I
cool to
I
try.
can't get myself one anyway. I would love to, but I can't really go out and justify that kind of money on one.
Yeah.
So the more feedback they get in it, the more I can fix, really.
Yeah. If they made it with 32 gigs of RAM, I would almost consider falling on that sword just so I could also have a faster Final Cut machine. But it's just you just can't justify it. You can't justify it.
Yeah, it's a bit of money.
My machine would literally have to die before I could justify it. And, the battery's not as great as it used to be. It's still okay, and the speakers are, they're all right, but
it's just too useful.
It's just like, damn it, why won't this stupid thing die? And then the problem is then I would still have I would have a mourning period if I had to buy a MacBook.
Yes.
I would mourn that purchase.
We'd have to talk about it.
The big buyer's remorse. The only way I'd feel better is if I could somehow improve a distribution support. So I'd do it. I would do it. Well, Ike, I'm pretty excited about the release just for myself personally because I love the GNOME edition. I know it was in the repos, but you know what I always do is I would install the Budgie edition and I would go, yeah, I'm good.
Yeah. Right? Totally.
Now you have something that's actually set up to be sane out of the box.
Yeah.
There's no fiddling. And obviously you got the normal stuff installed, so you got like the Chrome GNOME Shell extension stuff, GNOME Tweak tool, that kind of stuff. Sorry.
Nice. Oh, we were just talking about that. Cool. So that's also...
There are a couple of updates coming through in the next day or two. I basically wanted to speed up the boot even more because apparently I have something wrong with me.
I can't stop.
Yeah, I don't
I
mind.
just can't stop it. And I was like, ooh, I spotted an opportunity. So you don't quite get a silent boot at the moment, and part of that is regressing the boot time. So I fixed that today, so it's an absolutely silent boot. Like I don't want to splash in there because then you're adding like 30 to 40 meg to every upload because you're including Plymouth, and then you're adding like 5, 6, 7 seconds. And the boot was like, let's just make it silent instead. So I've managed to do that. So until X starts, you'll see nothing but black screen. It's lush. And that in itself on my system, so I'm already booting in about 1.7 seconds on this Broadwell now. Today I've managed to shave another 450 milliseconds off of that. So if that's my SSD booting in that time on my Broadwell Nook, you can imagine how something like Skull Canyon's gonna go.
Yeah.
Right. Or even people with older systems, because then it grows exponentially.
Sure.
So those updates we come through, we pre-link all of the binaries in the init ramfs and strip them so that they actually start up quicker.
Wow.
Because they haven't got to work with a linker to find anything. We've now got AMD early boot code support now as well, so that'll hot patch the microcode onto the CPU when it's starting up. So we've got all of that sexiness to come through in the next couple of days, and that'll be 4.9.2 free, which I got packaged today.
That's also mean he doesn't fall asleep at the keyboard because he's staying up.
Yeah, and it's just like, why does the commit message just say ZZZ?
Well, congrats. So the snapshot for 2017-04-18.0 is out. I'm going to go download it.
Yeah.
And you can read. I like also the nice, clear snapshot notes by Josh. It's nice to be able to read through all of that.
Hype free.
Yeah.
Did you see the changelog at the end of it?
Yeah, actually, it's been. You know what I was thinking when I saw that is it's like
that one's machine generated.
Yeah,
we'll be honest.
But it's been a long time since I've seen that. Really, it's like, that doesn't happen as much anymore. There's a few projects that still do it, but
yeah, I mean, we do that for the primary one, and then when we looked at it, it was like, Jesus Christ, that's obscene. We've got to include it now. Right?
I love that. That must be.
Yeah, we've definitely got to put that in there.
Well,
that's basically 4 months, but that's only showing what's changed on the Budgie ISO.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
Jeez. Well, that's quite the list.
So that's not like the repos themselves,
Right.
which have now grown to such a point that, well, you can imagine when we started out with Solus, like certain scripts and systems that we used, everything just worked. And we've got this script that monitors the packages coming into the repo. And then that's been fine for a long time. But we started to get to a point where we'll keep free back versions, and in between those you have the deltas, which is fine if you follow that bit so far. Then when I actually counted the packages the other day in the repos, there was like 75,000 EO package files flown across the repo, and the script that monitors them has to index the repo every single time. So it's going through 75,000 files just to add one new one each time. I was like, right, this might have been a design flaw. So that made our release 104 minutes late the other day. We started off with a different version number. It was the 17th. And then because the script took so long, we was pushed back to the 18th. I'd already put up the Twitter post as well with the version number.
Yikes.
That is funny. That's good.
Yeah,
That's
the
a good
secret to
story.
releases.
Yeah, the behind-the-scenes secrets right there. Well, Ike, thank you very much, sir, for coming on. I'm glad.
My pleasure.
I'm glad we're able to make it work. And we'll have a link to the release notes in the show notes if you guys want to download and check out Ike and the team's fine work. And also have a link to the 1704 releases in the show notes.
There's just so much good stuff to try.
Also, go check out more of Ike on Late Night Linux. That's a great podcast. They just had an episode come out yesterday, I think. So go check all that out. Mr. Wes, where can people find you on the Twitters?
At Wes Payne.
And also on the TechSnap program.
That's right. Just stay tuned.
I'm at Chris LAS. The network's at Jupiter Signal. Find us live at jupiterbroadcasting.com/calendar. We'll be back here next Tuesday.
I secretly use Arch Linux.
Oh, Popey stopped by. That was good.
Hey,
good.
yo.
I'm glad he was able to pop in there for a second. That's nice.
Missed you, bud.
I think you should take the Solus challenge, Wes.
Yeah.
I think you should do it.
All right, it's happening.
I think this machine too right here possibly could be good for Solus.
Yes.
You know, now that I'm not going to be doing LAS, I don't have to install like a whole bunch of apps for the picks all the time.
Changes a fair bit. Yeah.
It's changing a lot of things for me actually. I'm realizing all the little things in life that will be different for me.
Yeah.
So yeah, all right, jbtitles.com, guys, jbtitles.com. Did you guys see the new Google Earth came out today?
No, really?
Yeah, check this thing out. This is like serious like 3D rendering happening. So like yeah, look. So this is using WebGL. We're gonna zoom in here to the Eiffel Tower and look. They 3D render everything now.
Wow.
Yeah, that is actually kind of neat.
It looks pretty neat.
And then they have this feature now where you can randomly go to cool places. Like you can roll the dice. And,
why fly when you can just Google
so
Earth?
like let's go over here to look at
over to Hawaii.
Look at that. Zoom right in. It's actually
that's pretty cool.
You see how it renders the mountains all cool like and whatnot? Like it really put some work into this damn thing. jbtitles.com. jbtitles.com. Oh, hello Mom Room. Hi, I missed you. Thanks for being here, guys. All y'all.
Yes. Very much
Look
so.
at that. How cool is that, Wes?
Wow. All right, well, I'm going to have to play with that later.
Yeah.
It's smooth, too.
Yeah, well, it's not on all my computers, but on the
Yes.
ones with a higher-end video, dedicated graphics, it seems to be working pretty well. Now we're going to go to Lake Superior, one of the large Great Lakes in North America. Look at that. That is big.
Yeah.
So that's the view, and then when you zoom in, you can go to 3D mode here. So if you tap 3D mode, it starts to render everything out. I don't know.
Wow.
Some are better than others,
Yeah.
but yeah, look at Google Go. Look at them go. It's kind of, if you think about it, you can, Big Bend National Park here. So look at Big Bend. We're going all around the world, Wes. Going all around the world, Wes. See, and you do podcasting, you get to travel the world.
Look at that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Cool.
Yeah. All right, jbtitles.com.
Yeah, let's make a title.
Is there anything in the mobile room that we wanted to pick up that didn't get covered in the show? Anybody want to? It's an open floor for a couple more minutes before we go. Ubuntu's bare gnome, that's not bad. The giant gnome rolling in the Linux. The chaos of disunity. Gnome Hunter. Gnawing on Gnome. Year of Gnome. Docker's Whale of a Tail. Oh, WW,
Nice.
you're so
I
funny.
like it.
I see what you did there, WWs. I see what you did there. Tee hee.
We love you.
Tee. Oh my god.
Mr. Sandman.
Amazing. Oh my god.
Making the cutest that I've ever seen.
That's fantastic.
Oh, Rotten, you should send me that so I can play it with high fidelity over here because that's good.
That's probably not good through my mic.
Do you have? Is it online? Can you link to it? I'll play it over here. That's funny.
I don't have the files not right now, but I can get it.
Let's see, fairly sexy.
I had it on my phone.
A quote from
You'll
Ike.
probably get copyrighted. Just
Yeah, right. I know. Ubuntu's Bare Gnome is up there by Kawasaki. Oh, I'm hungry all of a sudden. Didn't I have lunch? I did have lunch. What the hell's up with that? The Giant Gnome.
You've been podcasting, man.
Yeah, I worked up an appetite. Woo! Alexa,
Appetite for a nap.
turn on JB1. Get those lights going for you.
Okay.
That was really well done. Now that's really stuck in my head. What do you think of Ubuntu's Bare Gnome?
Yeah, it's not bad.
Yeah? You don't love it? Yeah.
It's not. No, I don't know how I feel about it. I don't hate it. I mean, the people seem to like it.
Nomeo.
I thought, as far as Echo commands go, I think that Echo one's safe because probably nobody else has any devices called JB1.
Yes, that seems pretty easy.
Yeah. I also like
Are we going to have to get to the point where you like all your commands are random strings?
I call these Shatner's hair lights just because there's so many lights in here that Alexa, cancel, starts to get confused and mixes, cancel, stop. Shut up. There we go.
She wants to be with you.
So she gets confused because they all have light in the name. So you got to come up with these totally diverse names. So I got flow lights and I got hair lights and ambient lights and accent lights and yeah.
So you should just have you tried Alexa, what is a Whopper?
I know, actually. I haven't tried that. Alexa, what is a Whopper?
The Whopper is the signature hamburger sold by the international fast food restaurant chain Burger King and its Australian franchise Hungry Jack's.
I want to be Hungry Jack's.
I didn't know they had a Hungry Jack's subsidiary. I didn't know that.
It's really too bad. I mean, Hungry Jack is not nearly as. Yeah, I'd rather be the Burger King personally.
The OK Google, the OK Google thing.
I'm amazed at how well that works. My phone was completely across the room, and that TV was able to trigger my phone. So Google says they put out a command to stop it, but what it really does is it still recognizes the trigger word and it still bleeps at you, and then it just immediately cancels. But it still triggers your phone and wakes it up.
Interesting.
So it's still annoying.
Yeah.
It's actually kind of genius and like the mad genius way of trolling, where Burger King was like, we know Google was going to break this.
Yeah, that was the that was next level marketing actually, and I don't think it was a flop at all. I think it was actually brilliant. And here we are, 2 weeks later, still talking about it.
No, that's even better because they knew that Google was going to break it, and then they did the same type of thing on TV marketing, TV commercials, and it was a different phrase, so that when Google broke the previous phrase, the next one would still work.
That's great.
That's next level trolling.
Are we gonna go Ubuntu's Bare Gnome? Is that what we're doing?
All right, let's do it.
All right, guys.
I mean, we did talk about that.
You know what?
Lot, so.
You know what? I love you, and you are not a dumpster fire. I love you guys.
Why would you even say that?
Who would say that?
Yeah. What?
Who would say that? I don't know.
Don't scare them away.
No. Hopefully, be back next week. We have. I don't know. Should this show do anything for the end of last? I don't know. But we will also have we'll have information about Linux Fest Northwest. We have some really cool things coming up. We'll be talking about that soon. And maybe we'll get a little feedback from Wes if he takes the Solus Challenge.
Oh, I will.
Okay. All right. So thanks for being here, guys.
Pip pip.
Goodbye. Jeez.
We're out of here.
Oh my God. Jeez, those guys are such asshole. Wait, what?
What?
You didn't close it? Oh.
Chris, that was your job.
Shit.
Wicked.
So funny. Okay, chat, we're going to switch over to LTechSnap profile mode. Thank you for being here. Hope you enjoyed the show. Now stick around for some Snap, guys.